Welcome back, lovely viewers. And this has come around very quickly, hasn't it? Are you all excited? Personally, after last year, I can't believe that they're doing it all again. They must be mad. But anyway, here you go. A brand new series of Who's Views Reviews. 8 weeks of it. Oh, dear. Anyway, let's get right over to JT in the Whotastic panel for episode 1, and it's called The Robot Revolution. When will these people grow up?
Doctor Who Series 2 takes the airwaves on BBC One with the Robot Revolution. But only 2 million tune in overnight, and it becomes the least watched Doctor Who episode ever. Hello everybody, welcome back to Who's Views, and welcome to your brand new series of Who's Views Reviews here every Sunday for the next 7 weeks after this. God, I'm doing a shooty. Yes, as you can see, I'm joined by Paul, by Emilio, by Third Doctor Ian, and Miles. Gentlemen, hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, guys.
Oh, yes, it's good to see you all. Thanks for joining us live here on Who's Views. We are going to be talking about that, the robot revolution. Oh, man. I was just saying to everybody on Live at 6, I'm numb by this. I am numbed by this episode because it was just like a poor man's Sarah Jane Adventures, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what to say about it. It was just, meh.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It was flat.
Yeah.
So flat.
Yeah.
Beyond
Yeah,
boring.
it was.
Beyond
It was.
boring. That's a good name
You
for a
can't
show. isn't it?
argue.
Beyond.
You can't argue with that. It was soulless. I'll say right at the very start, if you want to see what Doctor Who was, then you look at the latest video released by Daryl Joyce. If you want to see what Doctor Who was and what Doctor Who could be, but this was beyond embarrassing. It passed the embarrassing stage years ago, didn't it? But here, as we are here, with our toxic masculinity, our toxic white masculinity, on the channel of the incels, which is everything that Doctor Who should always be about, isn't it? It was just an utter abortion, but it just shows that that I was going to say JNT. Jesus, he wouldn't go that bad, would he?
bless.
That RTD has finally got to the point where this is what he wanted Doctor Who to always be. And
really?
The only reason, I think so, and the only reason it wasn't like this the first time around is that somebody had him on a chain and was regularly pulling him back. I think now he's said anyway, hasn't he? Nobody can tell him what to do. Yeah. Fine. Yeah. This is what he does when nobody tells him what to do. He gets the lowest opening ratings for a season in Doctor Who's entire history since 1963. Exactly. Well done, you utter prat.
Exactly.
There we go.
We have lots of people joining us in the chat. It is great to see you for the start of our brand new series of Who's Views Reviews. Make sure that you are subscribed if you're new to the channel. And thank you if you have already subscribed. Please make sure you're still subscribed. Lots of you here. Superlev, good evening. Good evening to you. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee is at Third Doctor. Kissy, kissy, kissy. Ooh, I say. Noodle Arms is saying, I did not watch it, but 2 million overnight, like what Patrick Troughton said. Oh dear, we are in trouble, aren't we? Yes, we got that. Stephen Braddock said, I said 1.9 million. I was so close. That was in our ratings game. We're going to come to the results of that in a second, everybody. Right, Charlie is giving us some little faces there. Hello, hello, hello. Lots of you here. Look at this. From Java Bean. Cat woke me up wanting food. So hi, everyone. Don't mention cats after this episode.
That was the best bet.
It got zapped, didn't it, the poor pussy?
I laughed and laughed, and I love cats and dogs. It made me laugh too.
People are outraged.
Hello and welcome to Who's Views to BJF. Phew. Stony ground here. Planet of the Incel. Yes, BJF, it's good to see you. Right, Charlie has also given us some little emojis, which I think is John Travolta styley dancing, I hope. I'm not sure. Hello, Noodle Arms. And Atherstone55, can't wait for this review of the garbage pretending to be Doctor Who. Digital Pollution is with us. There's hello, mate. Nice to see you. And Domgo, I heard there's a TV show on life support as we speak. I think it's well past this. I think they've pulled the plug and don't care, to be quite honest. Honestly.
Flatlined, I think that's what's happened. Yeah.
Never mind cutting power in an entire hospital. What a smart move. But let's just cut the power on. Cut the power on the life
Don't
support.
practice at home, folks. That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I got out of bed this morning, I put on Robots, says Mrs. Lisa's Pertwees. Tom Baker on Blu-ray to keep my sanity. Well, I'm sure that worked for you. I really did. We've got Frankie Stanger with Craig Dunlop. Sheila B in the Devotions. Lex Kane is saying to us the hospital scene was the same as season 3's episode Smith and Jones. No ideas. What a yawn fest.
It's like RTD just ripping himself his own era off, and he's doing a poor man version of his own era, basically.
Yeah.
It's like a greatest hits package, isn't it? It's just not great anymore. Do you know what I mean? He's taken bits of all these old stories and some other stuff and put them all together. Hello to Dr. Martin Who and Frankie. I was only 100k out. Hello, Whotastic panel and chat, says Georgia Donald. Well, hello to you. Kirsty is with us. Kirsty, how are you, lovely? Kirsty is currently on honeymoon, everybody, as you all know. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for dropping in. Thank you, darling.
Congratulations again.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And Stuart Barham is saying that little robot was trying in vain to polish a turd, bless it.
That's what
It's not the only thing it polished, but I don't want to talk about that because it was vile. And Dylan, hello, Dylan Kildare. Evening, guys. Evening. How are you? Legion of James. I must admit that viewers number has given me a great sense of satisfaction. Well, let's get into that right now, because if you were with us on Friday for our preview show, our headline special, we played the ratings game, part 2 of which is coming up a little bit later in this particular show. So let's look at the results from the ratings game from the other night then. Here we go. Kirsty went higher with 1.5. Oh, no, hang on. Is this the right one I've put in? Hang on a sec. That might not be the right graphic. Hang on a second. Let's have it. I've got it here. Ian, you said 2.55. Emilio said 2.77. Bedouia went 2.45. Paul, you went 1.7.
I know. Okay, right.
And I went 2.1.
Do you have contacts in the BBC?
A few of you in the chat got it spot on as well by saying 2 million. So well done to all of you. However, I didn't win this particular thing. I'm not going to get a Who's Views pencil because it wasn't spot on. But let's have a look at what I could have won. Yes, I could have won this lovely crystal decanther and goblets to go with it, everybody. I am absolutely gutted.
Where's the speedboat? I'm disappointed.
You never know what could be coming up in the ratings game. You never know. I don't know if you also saw this, but yesterday before the episode was broadcast, Stephen Moffat, ex-showrunner, ex-writer, ex-everything else, took to X. These are people, actually, everybody, that you must remember don't have social media presences and don't use social media. They're on it more than we are, quite frankly. But Stephen Moffat, yesterday, did his best to put his tuppence in to publicise the robot revolution with this tweet. BBC One tonight, brand new awesome Doctor Who with brand new awesome robots. Daleks also watching. They're worried there's a new boss in town. 6:50 on BBC One and streaming now on iPlayer, which is a modern thing like central heating and rights.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah. What's he talking about?
He's lost it, hasn't he? He's lost it.
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah.
He's going in a home, I believe. That's what's going to happen to him. Yes.
I don't know what's
It's just desperation.
Allegedly.
Delusion.
But you in the chat.
He's a man who thinks he's funny. He's a man who thinks he's funny. And
they think it's all funny. You can tell that in these versions of Doctor Who. But you know what we've all got to do? So make sure you're all touching grass over the next few weeks, everybody, because here it is. Here we go. So let's get into this. Let's talk about, The Robot Revolution, written, of course, by RTD and broadcast for the... Oh, I can't be even bothered doing this. Broadcast on the BBC, on BBC One on Saturday, the 12th of April, 2025. It dropped on the BBC's iPlayer at 8 a.m. on the same day. I can't be bothered with all the rest. We all know what it's about. So let's get into this. Who wants to kick off with this particular episode, Paul?
Can I kick off first? Because I've got a few positives to say before I start with the negatives.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to hand my Hughes Views credentials in just yet. There's a couple of positive things I'd like to say. Okay.
Sure.
Firstly, I quite like the look of it. You can see there's money being spent on the CGI is really, really good, I have to say. Some of the space scenes with the TARDIS flying in space was lovely. Some of the location bits they had for the alien planet were great. I love the kind of retro 50s feel it had to it. But I agree, it was a bit like a Sarah Jane Adventures kind of feel to it. I like some of the humour in it. The bit with the cat. I know Miles was going to say that people were outraged by that, but I saw that online. Yeah, but it made me laugh. It made me laugh, and so did the cutesy robot, the polish robot. That made me laugh as well. So a lot of good things that I thought, but it was a bit in the end a bit meh and a bit pointless in terms of the actual story. It wasn't really logical. Didn't make a lot of sense. And it was all over the place. What's wrong with linear storytelling? Why can't we have a straight story? None of this timey-wimey nonsense that we have in this, you know. The visuals for the guy, the guy who's the boyfriend, looked fantastic.
Oh, yes.
In the AI thing, looked really, really good. A lot of positives in that, but the story I think was really weak. And I thought
That was a story.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Exactly. So, and all the incel stuff you mentioned earlier, all that kind of stuff. It was just, if they took that out, it might have been a passable episode at best, you know. But
we've got this from Rose Kirby. Good evening, Rose. Hi, happy Sunday evening, afternoon, or morning to all in the chat. Hello, Whotastic panel, and hello, lads. And thank you for your super chat to Digby. Evening, wonderful panel. Evening, lovely folks in the chat. Thanks for guiding us through RTD2, cannibalizing his old catalogue. Absolutely. And I'd like to say hello to a few people here as well, if I may. Puddle has joined us. RTD's virtuous disdain for disabled antagonists went out the window with this one, it seems. Milo, you want to talk about that in a second, don't you? But nice to see you, Puddle. Thank you for joining us. And the Heraldium. My nan is older than human rights. Well, oh, that's not a very nice thing to say about your nan, but nice to see you. Welcome, 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 welcome. Yokai63 is saying to us, I watched the first half of the episode, but soon got bored. The cat's death was the only interesting bit. Sorry, cats lovers. I have to say, I did actually laugh at that bit as well. I thought that was funny. Philip is with us saying, oh my giddy aunt, give me a jelly baby. What was that crap? I watched Black Mirror after. We need writers like Charlie Brooker. I'm not sure. We've got a lot of new people joining us this evening as well, so it's great to see you. The chat is going really quickly, so thank you for joining us. Yes.
JT, I apologize to interrupt. Can I do something very inappropriate and just point you to the private chat, please?
Oh, yeah, cool. We've got Jane Smith here saying it was a much better season opener than Space Babies, but it just wasn't Doctor Who. Yes, we heard that on the Live at 6 show, Ian. Ian's just putting on notes. Jean Marsh has passed away. Michael
dropped me a note.
Yeah, Jean Marsh has passed away. We talked about that on Live at 6. And thank you again to everybody that was on the chat with me at Live at 6 and told me that sad news. Watch this space. Here at Who's Views, we will be paying tribute to Jean Marsh, including a review of Battlefield. So make sure you're subscribed. We've got here Robin Calvert. The Belinda Allen prologue was charming. And Verado Setu instantly slotted in. Nice big robots, an inventive code, cute vacuum cleaner, and great alien makeup. But more to say as we go through. Martin Brown is with us saying it wasn't a bad start to season 2. Yeah, if you're joining us, thank you so much, everybody. Keep the chats coming on. A lot of you here with us, so keep them coming. I'll try and keep up with you. Emilio, you wanted to say something about the whole disability thing, didn't you?
Yeah, well, obviously we had Davos Gate, right? As we call it, where RTDs, come out and said that people kind of with wheelchairs or are basically always portrayed as evil, let's say in fiction. So that's why Davos is basically didn't want to no longer in a wheelchair, in his turn, basically. And then in this episode we got evil misogynist who clearly is basically disabled because he's on a life support system Yeah, basically he's evil. So RTD has basically made a mockery of his own political ideology
Of course,
that
yeah.
he's done. So I just thought it was quite ironic, let's say, that he went down that road.
It's
almost
another example of his hypocrisy, quite frankly.
Yeah, exactly. His hypocrisy. I think it just showed that the argument that he sits on hold no weight, and basically he'd forgotten in the space of, was it 12 months or 18 months, and he's basically doing what he said he hated seeing on television. But it's okay because the character is a white misogynist who basically like to kill people because he's angry about his,
and also like to control women. You sent this to me from before, from this on Chat About It, Don't Shout About It, which is on X, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this is them saying earlier today, RTD and Badwell spent all that time harping on about how they needed to change Davros because he was an evil trope, problematic and offensive to wheelchair users. And would they care to comment why they made Al disabled and put him in a life support system? That's something that I think we at Whose Views will back up, and also ask RTD to get in touch with and let us know, really, because you've done it again. You've blowing with the wind, isn't it, guys?
The bizarre thing about this.
Sorry, guys. Double standards completely.
Yeah.
Are we surprised about it? No.
No.
What are we going to do there, Paul?
I was going to say the bizarre thing is I forced myself to watch Unleashed last night. And apparently this episode was filmed at the same time as the special, the 60th anniversary special, the Star Beast, was broadcast, I think. So he'd made that announcement roughly about 2 months before they were filming this episode. So it's just to cover himself so he have his own version of Davros. Obviously, that's why he did it,
It doesn't work, though, because it was nothing like him.
No.
Heretic OSJC, thank you for your super chat. Mrs. is annoyed, said, how does she explain coercive control and incels to the youngest kids? Also, she said she didn't RTD say disabled people can't be baddies. Exactly. This whole thing about the incel thing winds me up. It winds me up. Why? Thank you, Heretic. Why was it there? Why was it also typically a white heterosexual male? It seemed to me that they were trying to do too much with this episode. And again, the whole thing, guys, comes across for me, as I said in the shows last year, he needs a strong script editor who will stand up to him and who will say, some nice ideas here, but go away and do it again. Because there were some nice ideas in there, but it needed cut down. And it needed more science fiction, and it certainly needed a flavor of Doctor Who, because as far as I'm concerned, that thing last night, which I was watching like this.
Yeah. And where was the Doctor? Where was he?
He was like a secondary character.
Well, he wasn't even it. I'll tell you.
Well, he's been absent for nearly 10 years now, let's be honest.
The Doctor doesn't do a high kick. And he doesn't say, yes, Queen.
And he doesn't laugh hysterically when he's just wiped somebody out either, does he? Let's be honest.
I mean, what was all that about?
No. Yeah.
The only high kicks should be Pertwee when he's doing the Aikido against a Sea Devil or something like that.
Yeah,
that's where it should end. That's what you expect. That's what you should see. Not this person who clearly was just rehearsing for his appearance on Barbie.
Well, yeah. I mean, honestly.
Don't get started on the hospital bit when he blew a fuse in the hospital and turned all the lights off. I wouldn't have minded if he'd resolved it and fixed it before he left, but it was just left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the Doctor at all.
Had he explained something there? Because there was these two instances that as Heretica, who I covered in the Live at 6 show, in her review where she gave it 5 out of 5 stars on Friday, she said there was an element of the story where, the Doctor, you can't relate to the Doctor. There's 2 elements. There's one, that bit there, Paul, where he closes down the hospital and it isn't resolved as to him switching it back on. And secondly, because it's supposed to be funny. And secondly, that whole thing at the end with the polish machine. And I don't want to talk about that because I found that revolting, quite frankly. And again, it's almost similar, Hugh viewers, from my point, to that stupid thing he did with a piece of concrete in that awful episode with the absorber off. Raymond Williams is saying to us here, I didn't watch it and it appears it was the right decision. You missed nothing. Did he, Hugh viewers? He missed nothing. And Cloud SSJ4 is saying a mediocre episode with the first draft script, underdeveloped concept. Gatwa's portrayal still lacks the essence of the Doctor, a first for me with any incarnation. Well said in my book. Well said, Cloud. I what this episode 11 of Gatwa's Doctor? I cannot see the Doctor.
Not at all.
I don't know what you guys are all thinking about that.
No,
not at all. I completely agree with that. I mean, I haven't seen the Doctor at all in him whatsoever. And when I know he's been there for 6 months apparently, but his hair growing the way it's grown looks ridiculous. I'm sorry as well. That looked really silly. Yeah.
They've never. Have I missed something? Have they explained why his hair's different in every episode when he doesn't have any?
Well, he has got hair, just shaved his head, doesn't he? It's not like you and I. You know, he has hair that can come back again. You know, but
yeah, but 1 minute it's shaven, the next minute it's up here, the next I don't get it.
Yeah.
Have they explained that? How does that suddenly work suddenly for the Doctor, who when he was the 5th Doctor, you could tell when he got a haircut for season 21, for example. You know,
and when he was filming All Creatures Great and Small, that kind of thing back and forth, you know?
Paul Stenterford, it's because RTD thinks that all the older fans are incels rather than the truth, which is most of us are married with children. I would hate to have been a parent. And the Telegraph pointed to this, didn't they, in our show on Friday, explaining what that is. And if you look at the history of this cropped up, I think, in the mid-90s, late 90s. And it's obviously that would now be part of the TQ cult. Of course it is. You know, of course it is. It doesn't surprise me where that word's come from. Hugh Janus, thank you for your super chat. It's not going to matter who Mrs. Flood is after several years of the show's bye-bye time. I don't think anybody's going to be there in the next few weeks to find out or care who Mrs. Flood is, Hugh Janus. It got 2 million overnights.
No one cares. No one cares at all.
No, nobody does.
And I know that Bedouin is very busy today, updating all his ratings analysis. Watch out for headlines later this week, because we're going to be going into that in depth. It's great to see you all. Thank you for joining us here on Who's Views Reviews for the Robot Revolution. We are live. If you want to come into the chat, come and join us. There's lots of you in there already, and I'm trying desperately to keep up with you all, as well as listen to this lot. I have to say, while I hand over to you guys so I can go and look at the chat, I have to say, congratulations to everybody that's worked on this bloody thing, because it looks glossy. It looks great. There was some lovely effects. You know, the visual concept of this show is top notch. It's just a shame that you've got some very dodgy scripts and a terrible lead man. They don't get a break with this show anymore, do they?
No. It did look, I'd say, more. The fact it had robots, it was a bit more sci-fi than it had been in the previous series. So I definitely give it that, and I agree that the kind of visuals do look amazing. As you say, it's a shame that the writing's so poor that it can't match what you're visually seeing on screen. So I think if you're not paying attention, and you might the kind of fluffiness of the and what it looked like will probably keep you to a certain element engaged. But I think it is a real shame that Doctor Who, when it had good script, if it had the visuals of their hand today, wow, it would look amazing.
Did anyone think it looked very, very Disney-fied in terms of the way it was kind of coloured? It felt like a Disney movie almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it did.
It felt very similar to the Starbeast in terms of the the visual direction. It looked very, very similar. I felt that first episode. It felt a bit more kind of comic strippy. That's the kind of vibe I got.
Well, the spaceships were similar as well, weren't they? It's like a 1950s
Well, I think that ship
Disney
was reused here. I think,
yeah. Disney's cartoon 1950s spaceship kind of thing. With the prongy legs and just going up to a point and everything. It was. It's very similar to what Beat the Meeps was like.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember.
No,
because I've only watched it once. These are episodes, Ian and Who Views. I am never going to watch these episodes ever again because it's utter nonsense, and it's not Doctor Who. Honestly, I didn't get any Doctor Who vibe from that at all last night, I have to say. And then this from G35. The high kick reminded me of Tennant's hot dog moment in the TARDIS after his regeneration. Both were cringy. And Richard's with us, Richard Ashton, model maker extraordinaire, and also joined us for our Blake 7 reviews. It was utter trash. I think I need therapy. I'm never going to watch another episode. I'm sure you're not going to miss anything, mate. Honestly. Anyone else?
No, I mean, yeah, I'm just going to reiterate what we said earlier. I mean, I do not believe him as the Doctor from start to finish. I think he's just boring, nothing to give. It's just a flat performance. It's just completely flat. It just reminds me of Ryan from the Jodie Whittaker era. It just reminds me of that.
Or Danny Pink.
Yeah, or him.
Yeah.
It's just, it gives me nothing. And that's what this episode did. It gave me nothing. I just sat there amazed that this was on TV and this was apparently Doctor Who the entire time I was watching it.
Yeah.
And it finished and I just turned around and I was like, what was that? Like, what genuinely was that? Nothing is believable.
Yeah, I don't know why it was cast. I mean, people keep going about he's got so much charisma. I can't see it at all, you know?
Where?
Well, I think personally, I think he was cast because he caught somebody's eye who has confessed to casting along those lines previously. I think that's the reason why he was cast. I think he's vacuous. He comes across as vacuous. He's not convincing when he says, I'm the Doctor. He drags it, I'm the Doctor. And it's almost like he's questioning himself. I don't think he believes it. And if he doesn't believe it, you know, Tom Baker, I'm the Doctor. My God, you were there.
Yeah.
You know, you believed it straight away. This person is not the Doctor. And neither was the dim bin that came before, quite frankly. If you want a bit of toxic masculinity, there you are. She was crap. She was miscast, just like this idiot was. And it's done, I think, irreparable damage to this brand. And like we've said before, it has to come off for quite some time now, because it's been run into the ground. But I mean, it's you know, Planet of the Incels. Okay, it's like the term TERF, isn't it? It's an insulting term for people that they don't like, and that is generally white males. As a rule, it's white straight males, but generally it's white males. They hate us. He hates us. He's now written a story showing how toxic we are, whilst at the same time being exceptionally toxic himself, as he has been for quite a number of years now. You know, he is your typical unhinged, far left, militant TQIA cultist. And there is nothing that comes out of his mouth that is in the vaguest bit positive in any way, shape or form. He sows division, and I detest him. I really do.
Thanks, Mrs. Lisa Pertwee, for your super chat there. Thank you, Mrs. Lisa Pertwee. Last great line from the Doctor was never be cruel, never be cowardly, and never eat pears. Doctor, I let you go. That was pure perfection. It's not a favourite of mine, but I know what you're saying there, Mrs. Lisa Pertwee. We've got Cloud SSJ4 saying, I agree on the high quality effects and visuals. Unfortunately, for many people, I hope that is still not enough to overlook the poor writing. It's too late, as it's proved now. They've gone. They're not coming back. We've got Dylan Kildare. The episode had great visual effects. It's just a shame that the scripts are awful and Gatwa is just terrible. Eddie is saying to you, hi, Eddie, thank you for your emails. Yes, Paul, it felt like Disney with the essence of the Star Beast. Jess, welcome to Who's Views. It's nice to see you, Jess. It was too rushed. Yes, rubbish props. Who has trips in space? As my girl says, wham, bam, and thank you, ma'am, and you get a slap. Thomas Ashworth, PTAs with us saying great effects. Verada was okay. The shooty was bad. The script was bland. We have to bear in mind as well, everybody, that this was done at the same time as last year's. Everybody seems to be breaking it up and thinking that they filmed it last year. They didn't. They filmed it the same block. They started with Tennant. They ended with Gatwa this season, and then there's been reshoots as well. Wild Hunter, good to see you again. Please stop comparing this with Sarah Jane Adventures. That was way above this poorly written slop. Absolutely.
You're right.
For me, it came across as a poor man's version of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Sarah Jane's was quality with people who cared about it. I don't think
they had a convincing lead, didn't they? Let's be honest.
But also, I just don't think RTD cared about this.
It's actually very similar to an actual Sarah Jane Adventure story where basically Rani and Clyde get basically wake up one morning and they're basically they think they're the last two people on Earth, and then they run into a boy who is actually, basically being chased by the two robots that again look very, very similar to the robot we see. And the boy is basically from another planet, Prince, or I can't remember basically. So it's literally a very, very similar story, look and feel to that episode, and doesn't nowhere near in terms of the quality of that story.
No.
I'd forgotten about that story. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, Lex Kane is saying to us, Gatwa is far too human for the Doctor. He's not a leading actor. He is awful. That's also down to the writing, Lex, of course. So that's what RTD wants. And he did warn us last year, didn't he, when the series was broadcasting? If you don't like him being too human, if you don't like him crying, tough, because there's more of it to come. Oh, goody, thinks I. Sean Cryer is saying, I really can't see me watching any of 2005 plus Who again. It does nothing for me. Dom Ghost saying, just to summarize, I liked nothing about it. It's all a big bag of poo. And G35 is saying, sorry, I didn't like the CGI visuals. I thought the CGI was actually better in Jodie's era. Now, I never saw that era, if you're new to the channel. This lot did. What do you say about that? Do you agree?
I can't remember.
I thought the effects in Whittaker's era were, they were well done, but we've always said they've got talented people working on it. But I still thought they looked quite cartoony. The one standout scene, I think, for me visually with Whittaker was, I think, in the second or third episode where they were running away from a spacecraft that was crashing behind them.
Oh yeah,
that was quite impressive. Yeah, that was quite impressive. Apart from that, eminently forgettable.
Oh right, okay. Well, there you go. Thank you for that. We've got the Nate channel joining us saying, hello guys, I love last episode's Robots of Death. Oops, wrong episode. Don't tease us. Philip Roy is here. Philip, of course, is preparing for his own big Doctor Who event this year, because Philip's just been finished filming his own fan film called Doctor Who Meets the Scorpion. Stay with us here on Who's News for more news of that another time. But he's saying, yes, Shooty is not Doctor-like at all. I thought he was auditioning for Gary Downey. Oh, oops. That'll teach me. I've really got to start reading things before I put them up. But yes, take that any way you want to. I actually really liked Mr. Downey. He made me laugh. Limekins, hello to you. It has a Wallace and Gromit vibe, Flash Gordon styling, and the Clangers dialogue. Clangers, I understand.
The Clangers are better actors, for goodness sake.
They are definitely better actors.
Yeah.
Especially Baby Clanger, definitely. I was going to say that Ian mentioned Planet of the Incels. That should have been the title. At least it sounds more like Doctor Who, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
It does.
Yeah, it does.
And on quickly on Shooty, I just when I watch him, everything just feels so forced. It's almost like it's someone who clearly can't pay the Doctor, forcing himself to say, I'm the Doctor, or I've got two hearts. You just don't, if you watch John Pertwee or Tom Baker or even Matt Smith, when they play it, you're not there sitting there thinking, oh yeah, I'm thinking this is Matt Smith playing the Doctor. It comes very naturally to them. I do think he, on top of his terrible acting, I just can't stand the fact that the Doctor doesn't have a silhouette outfit, because it really does take you as a viewer, who's the Doctor when you're looking on screen. If you didn't know Shooty Gatwell was the Doctor, right, but you knew roughly what Doctor Who was, you would look on that episode and you'd be like, wait, who's the Doctor? Wait, the guy in the dress, or the guy who's suddenly wearing a different dress a few seconds later because he changes uniform throughout the scene. You've got the Doctor, like the TARDIS, have to have a certain look that stands out, and I think it definitely detracts you when you're watching it.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, Emil. That's spot on. And the bizarre thing is that all the publicity that you see of Shooty is wearing that leather jacket and having that silhouette. Why they don't sell that more, I don't understand. I really don't.
Yeah.
I think the point is fantastic, and I agree with the both of you. And Amelia, what you're saying there, I really agree with, because the fact is, if you are not i.e. a member of the public coming into this, it doesn't look like Doctor Who. And it's probably one of the reasons I don't think I can see the Doctor, or it feels like Doctor Who for me, apart from the atrocious writing. It's the fact that the Doctor has a template, and we all know what the template is. This guy's just running around as though he's come out of Grange Hill or something, for crying out loud. You know, he looks like he should be in EastEnders. You know, it just doesn't look right. Russell, you've made so many mistakes. You had one job, the bring fans back and write Doctor Who, and you didn't bother. Thank you to Mark Greaves for your super chat here. 900-year-old fought and ended the Time War, defeats the Cybermen, the Sontarans, and his plan to beat robots was to attack them in an enclosed room. My old corporal could come up with a better plan. It was so dumb. Show me part of that episode that wasn't.
It's taken him 6 months to do nothing till then. The Doctor would have done it as soon as he arrived. So what? Why 6 months? Crazy, you know?
Thank you for your super chat there, Mark. Nice to hear from you. And hello and welcome to Miles Clegg. Hiya, Miles. I'm getting a lot of hate online for my postings online, bullying and name calling. Well, Miles, you're very, very welcome with us here on Who's Views. You're not going to get any of that because you know what? We're grown-ups here and we don't do all that. And we don't, unless I'm in a bad mood and you get me on the wrong day, we don't do all that sort of stuff. Did you see Live at 6? Anyway, you're very welcome here, so don't worry about that. And everybody in the chat is a very, very, very friendly. They are a good lot. They really are. We've got a lovely community here. And at this time, I'd like to say thank you to Garbage and Kirsty and Problem Being for being in there, being our mods and making sure everybody's okay. So thank you very much. Domgo is saying to us, nowhere to go now except a full reboot to the first Doctor. Stuart Barham is saying Russell the Destroyer. That's the second time today. That's gonna stick if he's not careful. Philip Roy is just amending what he said to me before. He thought Shooty was auditioning for Gary Downey's Seaside Special Dance Troupe with that high kick. There we go. Seamus, the production was very good on the episode. I think we can all agree that the look of the show was superb. Really
I was going to say, did everyone think, if you can remember that far back to the Star Beast, was Belinda living in Donna's house? That's what it looked like, you know.
It looked like the same set, didn't it?
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
I thought that.
Even coming through the walls, like the Wrath Warriors did exactly the same kind of action, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember the Star Beast because I've dismissed it from my memory because it was also rubbish. But I know what you mean about this. So, but Mrs. Flood is allegedly living next door to Belinda. Does that mean that Ruby's down the road?
Or Mrs. Flood's moved?
She's moved. Yeah.
It looked like a different street. It looked like a different street. So, God knows. Who cares?
Who cares?
It's a waste of Anita Dobson as well. She's a great actor.
Anita Dobson. I love Anita Dobson. To see her in this version of Doctor Who is heartbreaking. Matthew Burrows, hello, mate. How are you? RTD must never be allowed near Who again. Once he's done on this season, that's it. Don't ever let him back, BBC Studios. Darren Apken is also saying, tragically, I missed it. Oh dear, how sad, never mind. Silver Dalek's with us, everybody. Hello, Silver Dalek, how are you? And Demorphin is also with us. The Sarah Jane Adventures had so much heart and warmth. This was hate-filled and angry. It couldn't be further apart. Rick Storm is also saying to us, the computer, Mr. Smith, had better charisma than Shooty. And Golden Age Geek is with us saying, hi, guys. I've tried not thinking about this episode because it makes me angry to think about it. Every line of dialogue sounds unnatural. Everyone in it can't act. Ugh, and those ridiculous lines. I think we're all on the same page, aren't we? This is amazing. If you did like it, come into the chat and said I liked it, and then tell me why, so I can see you through all these fabulous chats we're getting. Because I want to know if anybody here liked it and why. But I have to agree with Golden Age Geek there as well. The dialogue, the script. This was shallow. This was hollow. I can't put my finger on why. I just thought this isn't Doctor. What am I watching again? After sitting through the nonsense last year, here we go again. What's he going to do over the next 7 episodes? But
it's very goofy, JT. I think it's just goofy. It just what made RTD first era so successful was that you believed the world that he developed was very believable. It was very, even the story, the monsters. You could really feel that could happen down your street. It was very grounded in that respect. With this, it was overly goofy, overly whimsy, and for me the scene that really kind of said that to me was when the spaceship lands and then Belinda being taken out by the robots, and the dialogue Miss Flood, and where, you know, it's just not realistic. People looking over, like, you know, there's a spaceship in the back garden. Sure, there'd be like a perception filter or something. You know, it did. You know, in RTD1, that you wouldn't have got that. It would have been a you know, much more realistic and much more kind of you know, kind of adult in nature. It was just stupid and just had no logic to it, and that's just what RTD's new era is. It's just no logic, whimsy, not relatable. So you just feel you can't invest as a viewer because it just feels completely different to anything that you see out there in the world. It doesn't feel like a real planet Earth or a real story that could actually happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah, if there was a real invasion of aliens, they'd be screaming, they'd be phoning the police, they'd be running about, being worried about it, not being calm. They'd just been taken away. I mean, really? Yeah.
I mean, people these days are phoning police over their social media posts. But if an alien spaceship comes down, he won't write that bit in it, will he? No. Josh H. It felt like the Doctor was given a bit more to do in this episode. He was more proactive for once, but still, Gatwa just comes across like he's playing himself. I know what you're saying there, Josh. Yeah, I mean, this wasn't Space Babies. It wasn't that bad in any way, shape, or form. You know, but by this point in the production, I'd expect him to be in the running, you know, and understanding where his Doctor's coming. But I'm still not seeing that. Yeah. I thought the not cleverest, but the most interesting bit for me was the 9-word thing. But that seemed like nothing, Emilio. It seemed, I think it seemed, again, lots of nice ideas, but it's paint by number. Shove it all into one.
I thought that was really contrived. Why do the robots don't hear the 9th word? That makes no sense whatsoever. Where's the logic in that? It's like,
because he didn't explain it. There was a fault. The Doctor says there's a fault, but again, had they just gone into that could have been a bit more terrifying.
Yeah.
But it's forgotten. It's pushed back. Hello to Stephen Noddles, SO. Just watched 3 out of 10. What should I just watch? CBBC. That's the point I'm getting at. Nice to see you, Stephen. Welcome to Who's Views. We are going to be doing scores on the TARDIS doors later on in the show, everybody. If you're new to us, that's where you get to market. So stay with us for everything.
Just what you guys were talking about, JT and Paul. I think with RTD, it's I don't need to explain these things anymore. That's his attitude. I don't need to explain. Just, you know, it happens. You've got to believe what I put on the page. Whereas, like I said before, you know, he actually made a real effort to ensure there was a logic to the world, that things pieced together. If you look at Turn Left, that kind of pieces all of his era together. It was all neatly done. But now it's just it's laziness. It's lazy. It's just, I don't need to do that. I'm RTD. I just you know, believe what I say. There's no explanation for that. I do agree it was a good idea, and I do agree actually that scene where the Doctor is standing in front was a little bit more like the Doctor. But I'm not saying it wasn't the Doctor, but it was a little bit more like the Doctor than any of the the acting that Shooty's had to do in the last series. But yeah, I've said enough.
Lex is saying to us, I felt sorry for people who have eye health problems with the time effect scene. What are your thoughts, JT and the team? Well, for me, I thought it looked really good. And I hadn't actually thought about anybody that might be watching this with sort of eye health issues. That's just not programmed into me, I'm afraid. Call me selfish, I don't care. But I thought it looked visually very, very good. And I think there must be more of it on. But again, for me, Lex, I don't know about you guys, this is an essential part of this season's theme, and it wasn't. It didn't seem solid enough to be explained, because you got all that nonsense at the end of the episode, which could have been a little bit more dramatic for me, where you tie it in with that thing that's happened before with the same effect, and say something's going on. There's something not allowing us on Earth, May 24th. There was no mystery to that, really, in my opinion.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That they're not. If it was a self-contained episode, that'd be fine. But if they're expecting you to stick with this for 8 weeks based on what you've seen, thinking, oh, what's happening? They can't go back to Earth. They can't go back to May 24th or whatever it is. They can't go back. The Earth's been destroyed or whatever's happened. But it's like they're not explaining enough to keep you involved, are they, really? There's lots of missing bits. And it's not engaging enough to hold your attention for 8 weeks, is it? You know what I mean?
Well, obviously not. I mean, people didn't go back to the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and I guess Belinda's a character, isn't... Sorry, and
go.
Quickly, just Belinda as a character, just I don't know. I didn't find her very likable.
No, really obnoxious. Yeah.
Exactly. I think I think she's not a bad actress by no means, but she's just very grating on you. She's a bit rude, and it's not rude in a kind of in a good way. It's rude in a bad way, basically. But why would you want to sit there and invest in her getting back home when she just seems a bit self-righteous?
Yeah.
And kind of a bit morally absolutist in her way of doing things, and kind of just even chides shooty doctor right at the end, basically, for like testing her kind of DNA. And it's just I get they're trying to basically create like basically a Martha Jones Donna Noble hybrid kind of character here, but Donna had her kind of this is like the worst version of Donna Noble, if that makes sense. More like the Runaway Bride Donna Noble that you're getting with this character. So why do I want to invest in this person? She's not warm. She's not a likable character yet.
No.
She may grow over the series, but yeah, I wouldn't want to tune in for it anymore if I was a normal viewer.
No. Okay. She was insufferable. I thought she was absolutely insufferable. I couldn't stand watching her, just like Shooty on screen. Like you were saying earlier, Emilio and Paul, about she doesn't act like a normal person. She's just seen a spaceship land in her garden. Robots have come in, and her instant first thought is, "Oh, my landlord's gonna be raging about this."
Yeah.
Who thinks like that? Who like that? It's just not believable.
RTD.
Yeah, like he comes up with these things. That's not what a normal person would do. The way she shoots down Shooty's doctor every 2 seconds, every time he says something, he just shoots it down. And we're talking about like toxic masculinity because I thought she was a feminist, massive feminist, and she was just like a child throwing out like her toys out of her pram. "Oh, doctor, get me home, get me home." Well, open your eyes, mate. You can't you can obviously see you can't get you back home. I just thought it was insufferable.
If I was the doctor, I'd just left her on the planet of the robots and just went away. You know what I mean? It's like selfish cow. It's like
why am I wasting my time? Yeah, I agree with Miles. It's very forced. Sorry.
Yeah,
very forced.
If you're stuck on this planet and the doctor is the only hope you've got of getting back to your own place and your own time, it's best not to be a twat. And she personified being a twat. And if she had been male, just like you said, Miles, if she had been male, she would have been toxic. She was a perfect example of toxic femininity.
Yes,
she was nasty. Yeah, she was nasty. She was rude. She was unpleasant, and she was the kind of person that actually you'd probably end up wanting to punch in the face or just leave. And she just didn't feel engaging. But it just all of it. You mentioned those bits at the end, JT, in the TARDIS and everything, and just thinking about that, just generally. What is it? We're a long way now, aren't we, from Hartnell or Pertwee, Tom Baker, even Peter Davison strolling into the TARDIS and when it starts rising and falling and off they go. Now it's pull this lever and you have to throw yourself back and hold onto the console and you're down to your knees and then you're back up again. What's that all about? They've been doing that a while now. I mean, what are they trying to say? What are they trying to put across? What image are they trying to give? What are they trying to say about this thing that is traveling around space and time in? Why is it so chaotic? It's just, I can't think of any redeeming feature about this at all. The characters are unpleasant. The secondary characters, the ones that mostly got pumped off, you didn't have time to feel engaged with any of those, so you didn't give a toss when they got. I cared more about when the cat got shot than when they got shot, quite frankly. And had it been a dog, then I'd have gone apeshit. But there we are.
Yeah, I'd have been the same.
But you don't feel invested in the secondary characters. You can't stand the lead characters, and the plot is crap. What is there? What's left? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Big hello and welcome to Who's Views, the Squirrel of Justice, who's just come into the chat, who says to us, just got recommended your channel after watching a YouTuber called Disparu, who reviewed the episode. It seemed the writers can't help but write horrible, unlikable characters. Well, welcome to Squirrel of Justice. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming along. I'm glad you were recommended. Domgo said that this rate of drop in quality, Christ knows what RTD's proposed third season was like. Bearing in mind that the third series he was writing at the same time as the first and second, so it could have been the same. However, this is a great time for them to have that break. Not that I think that they're coming back anytime soon with the same people. John Roberts, the new show just feels like amateur hour, poor acting, scripts, and no concept of what the Doctor Who is. It's certainly not the same show. It's not the Doctor Who we know. Saint194, good evening, guys. Compare this to other companion intro stories post-2005. It doesn't even deserve to be called Doctor Who compared to Rose, Smith and Jones, The 11th Hour, The Snowmen, or The Pilot. I didn't like The Pilot. I have to be honest. I think my favorite one out of all those was probably The 11th Hour.
Yeah, definitely.
You put those there.
Did you know that Bill was gay, by the way?
No, never. Really? Where was that?
Apparently Bill was gay.
Oh, well, I need to watch it again.
Dylan's saying to Emilio, totally agree, Emilio. He does not look like the Doctor. Gatwa is a terrible actor, says Matthew Burrows. And Kara is saying, think of Tom Baker when he has to decide whether to destroy the Daleks and the anguish in his face as he tries to make the decision. The problem I have with that, Kara, is when I watch Gatwa's performance in these things, I think of the original four, and then occasionally Colin and Sylvester and Peter will also crop in there, and I can't see the character. I can't see the succession. It's supposed to be the same man.
Yeah,
and I'm going to say that it's same man. If you're upset by that, I don't care. It's supposed to be the same. It's not. Why have we got this sort of very camp OTT version now? But just because Russell T Davis wants it. Paul Stanford is saying, I totally agree with Emilio. Each incarnation of the Doctor has a look. It seems like they can't make up their minds which way to go with the Gatwood Doctor's look and style. That, we have to stress, is not Ncuti's fault. That is RTD's fault, isn't it, Paul?
Oh, it definitely is. Yeah, I mean, he planned to have his own kind of costume, and then Russell apparently said, "No, we're going to have different costumes every week." It's a big mistake, because on the episode last night, when the Doctor arrived as a historian, I was thought, "Where's the Doctor? Is he coming? I don't know. Where's he coming?" Because he wasn't the Doctor, and I do think, sadly, the lack of costume would have made that difference if they had a proper image, a proper silhouette, as Emilio said, because he needs that image, that concrete image, I'm not suggesting a uniform, but you could have variation on it.
It's a template.
He
needs the template. They all had variations of their template, but it remained the same template throughout their incarnation. It needs that, because, as I say, you don't recognize the Doctor. We could have tuned into this and go, "Where's the Doctor?" Because ironically, Gatwa and Whittaker are going to be more Who than anybody else that's played the role. Even the public know Paul McGann was Doctor Who, and he did one episode.
I was going to say, if you tuned into that episode last night and you weren't a Doctor Who fan, you're just flicking the channels, and Ncuti came to do that bit about the 9 words thing, right, as a historian, and you're watching it, you wonder, who's that character? He's a secondary character? You wouldn't think it was the Doctor if you saw that coming to it cold, I don't think. Yeah,
I totally agree.
I think one of the issues is what you said, JT, is that because they filmed this back to back, normally what you do, you have this, albeit you could have tried for a season having a Doctor wear different outfits and see how the audience reacted to it. And I think it would have been very conclusive from the last series that pretty much, actually, a majority, even the fans that, love this era of the show, would probably also, some of them would also say that actually they would prefer the Doctor to have one single kind of silhouette costume. And then they would have then been able to make the change for this season. They kind of dug themselves a big hole here by not being able to get the feedback, then make some adaptation for the series. And I think that ultimately, it just further nail in the coffin, not to have a silhouette.
A big mistake, Russell. One mistake of many, many, many. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Who's Views. You're watching our Who's Views reviews of the Robot Revolution. Come into the chat if you're not in already and let us know what your thoughts. But G35 is here saying it wasn't quite as awful as I was expecting, but it was still pretty poor fare. Shooty is clearly miscast, and RTD just can't write for the Doctor. I have to say, it's not as bad as I was expecting, but it was bad. And I was still, I mean, it wasn't Space Babies, which I was expecting Space Babies again as a season opener. But this was a season opener. And it still was very, what's that about? Mark Greaves has also said, did the AI remind anyone of the supercomputer from Superman 3? Totally.
A little bit, yeah.
Totally. I have to say those effects, those little graphic effects they had of all those bits going on, the CGI, well, you know, the computer version of Belinda was actually quite a nice little effect. Again, an example of how good the show looked and the thought it had been put in from these people. So I thought that was really good. The Chorus Sci-Fi and Fantasy, I've not seen it. I was watching Terror of the Autons after I got home from work with a chippy tea. That sounds so much better than what I had to do.
It does.
Yeah.
Honestly, Chorus Sci-Fi Fantasy. And Jason saying to us, Jason Parker, I can't stand the companion. She had the charisma of a wet floor sign, a fake doctor who is out of his depth, and a patronizing throwaway script. Surprise, surprise, white man, bad yawn, empty and forgettable. I want to come to that because I want to get it out of my system. This is about ticking boxes, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gap with casting, I am now convinced, is about ticking boxes. So here we go again. So they've given Belinda, okay, who ticks a box, a boyfriend. So it's a, what do they call them? Multiracial relationship. Is that right?
Yeah.
I've got the terminology right. I don't really care. So they've got a white fella, like they do in the adverts, right? And then typically he goes on to be the baddie of the piece.
Yeah.
When I think it was Belinda who was the baddie of the piece because she's so busy panicking and kicking off and voicing, you know, all this sort of stuff. She's the one that creates his future, and she's the one that makes him bad. But why didn't they give Belinda a same race, if that's the terminology, boyfriend?
What got me about she's very selfish when she was in the spaceship bemoaning the fact she was kidnapped and said it's Alan, he gave me the certificate, he owes me 50 quid, you know. I was really disappointed that she didn't say when she saw him when he became revealed as the villain, you owe me 50 quid, you know.
Yeah,
I was just disappointed, you know, that she didn't do that, you know.
Well, that would have been quite funny.
Yeah.
But that whole scene, I mean, this shows where RTD is, with his humor. I think because he's so angry, there is no humor in him now, so it's forced humor. You know, and I just don't know what he was again. But again, I've got to keep reminding myself. He wrote this at the same time he was doing the Star Beast and Space Babies and whatever, all that nonsense last year. He was writing it at the same time. So he was in that frame of mind, wasn't he? That we went through all that. We said last year, there's more coming. It's going to be more of the same.
Yeah.
Got here Silver Wolf. Sorry, I was told to touch grass, and that's where I'll be. But it's nice to hear the visuals were good. But without anything half decent scripts, it's like having a Ferrari with a lawnmower engine. Captain Being saying to us, this looks like an RTD in the middle of a grip of death row, a fever dream as the brain of Doctor Who dies. This is definitely the dying days. Absolutely, and they are painful. They've been going on for several years. This is it. Digital pollution. The Doctor was turned into a court jester nearly 20 years ago, and it's been rubbish ever since. Paul Stenford was saying the Fisher-Price robots. Yeah.
I mean, can we? I know you didn't. I know you didn't like the end scene as far as Al was concerned, and I didn't either. I thought it was quite tasteless. But basically, what they did was they took a white male. She basically created him, like you said. He was portrayed as a toxic white male because we all are. And he was then reverted to his basic biological form the second he was like fused with the egg, if you like, and swept up in the rubbish, to which they all had a hearty laugh.
Yeah.
And that in itself is absolutely sickening.
Yeah.
The fact that kind of behavior, that kind of referencing and treating people is seen as funny, is typical, I think, of the kind of people that these far left activists are like. You know, they say we're the aggressive ones, we're the nasty ones, we're the mean ones, we're the violent ones and everything. And then they do and say and produce things like this, which are everything they claim everybody else is. And it's absolutely disgraceful. It's sickening. It really is. And it got through the BBC, which says just as much about them, really.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Ian, if
I
you
mean,
compare
that's-
that to Boomtown with the Slovene at the end, Margaret Blaine, she turns into an egg, but the doctor goes and gives her to a new family so she can be brought up properly. He doesn't chuck the egg in the bin. Because
Exactly.
there's a good moral to that, to that, and that was written by RTD.
Well, you can even say though, RTD, he always nicks other people's ideas, and it might be a stretch, but you can look back at the Leisure Hive and Pangol, the big baddie. The generator returned him to being a baby. It was given back to Mina as a baby and said, try to raise him better this time.
Yeah.
He had another chance. It's happened before, but this time, oh no, it's a toxic white male. Let's return him to a sperm and an egg, and here comes the sweepy bin. He's now been swept up in the rubbish. Everybody has a bit of a guffaw because it's funny. All right, try doing that to somebody that's black. See what happens. Full well they wouldn't, would they? They just wouldn't. And it's typical of the kind of world we're living in today, I'm afraid. It's wrong on every level.
We've had a super chat from Dalek Eye. I'm trying to find it in the chat. I can't find it, mate, but thank you so much for your super chat. Dalek Eye said, I am so glad I have not watched any of this dire garbage, but here is something towards paying for the therapy for JT and the panel. £5 super chat. Thank you so much, Dalek Eye. If I find it in the chat, there are a lot of people joining us this evening. You're very, very welcome. It's lovely to see you. Please make sure you've all subscribed to the channel, and make sure you join us every Sunday here live at 8 as we go through the next 7 episodes of this. There's lots coming up, as you know. Yeah, thank you so much for that, everybody. Dalek, I appreciate it. Captain Mike Aptin is also joining us. Hello, Captain Mike. How are you? RTD came back on his terms to make Doctor Who the gayest ever. The Eurovision episode could be a car crash. What do you mean could be? And what is it with villain saying ta-da in a camp way? Oh, yeah, the one from next week, the cartoon.
Yeah. I was going to say, just going back to what Ian said about how it was written at the end with the death of Al, or Alan, what we call him. It just goes to show that Russell doesn't know the Doctor at all from the way it was written, because there's no essence of the Doctor at all. All these reactions are just completely alien to the Doctor. It's more like the Master's behaviour than the Doctor. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Really good point. Yeah.
There's lots of great points coming up in the chat as well. Fantastic. We've got this one from Paul Stanford saying, why does the AI generator have a squinty eye? Why would anyone design it that way? Oh, and there's Dalek. No idea. And there's Dalek Eye's super chat. Found you. Thank you so much for that, mate. Yeah.
I thought Lily had a monocle a little bit, you know what I mean? Like Ray Allen and Lord Charles kind of thing, you know? Google that, youngsters. Yeah.
We've got Care Avon joining us as well. Good to see you, Care Avon. I've been too unwell to watch the premiere of Series 2. And going by what you've experienced, sounds like a new movie, Carry On, around the TARDIS. I'm sorry, the Carry Ons are funny.
Yeah.
And they are. That was bad. This thing last night was just there. It was just there, honestly.
By the way, I was trying to understand it when I was watching the episode. So obviously he's angry about Al is angry that he obviously been rejected by Belinda. He ends up being taken by the robot because of her. He's obviously there, and then basically they think he's the king, so he thinks he's got freedom. So he then decides to start killing people because he thinks he's a gamer clearly or something, and he likes games. I mean, I've really trying to understand how this character, who actually was quite sweet in trying to give her like a kind of a star certificate, and obviously overly very maybe overly romantic or whatever, how he ended up deciding then to start. I'm not sure, maybe I missed something. You guys can tell me, but I don't think the logic from how he got from A to B.
Yeah, there's no logic to it at all. No.
Where was it?
I think it's part of this whole thing where it hasn't been developed in the script properly, and it's why RTD needs a strong script editor that has the balls to stand up to him and say, go back and do it again. I'm hearing he doesn't have a decent script editor now, and he just pushes what he wants to, because what they've tried to do with that character Al is basically he's a control freak and he likes to control his women. That's what that's about. Of course
Yeah.
he does, because that's the top. I mean, this is coming from a writer who can't even tell what a bloody woman is, for crying out loud. It's absolutely unbelievable. But to go from there to there without that middle bit, because they've got to pack everything into 45 minutes. And a decent script editor will be able to say, take that out, take that out, take that out, concentrate on those 3 elements rather than the 400 that are in it. Just for a quick break, everybody, as well, on Friday night's preview show, we introduced a new part of this show called the Crying Game. And at this particular point, we're going to be doing that right now, because we've got the result, haven't we, of what happened in last night's episode, the Crying Game. I don't know what you guys thought about this element as well, but I just thought, oh my goodness, because here was RTD coming along with the idea that for the 6 months that this doctor had been on this planet, he'd had a new companion. And you just know when the minute she opened her mouth by saying, you can take me away, doctor, can't you? You just know something is going to happen to her.
If she didn't Star Trek, she was wearing a red shirt. You know what I mean? That's what she should be wearing, you know? 'Cause she was cannon fodder from the start, definitely. Yeah.
And it was just one of those things, wasn't it? You just think, oh, hang on, she's not going to make it to the TARDIS. You know, not going to make it at all.
I think they try and make you. They I don't know whether RTD thinks as an audience member you're going to get emotionally. Why would you care? You don't know the character. She get killed, and then the doctor's obviously having a cry. It's like, what justifies the doctor having a tear? Again, I get it. You spend 2 to 3 years with traveling with Amy and Rory. Okay, you can shed a tear maybe if they got taken by the weeping angel. Fine, I can, as an audience member, I can understand why the doctor would do that. But again, why you're not going to, as an audience member, why would you be invested in the doctor getting emotional? You haven't shown me anything about that character. It's almost just done so that it makes the doctor look a little bit more dangerous, and it's just trying to force an emotion out of you as an audience member. And it looked very forthright and shooty cries.
Yeah. We've got Joe Parker in the chat saying to us, maybe Mrs. Flood collects all the tears of the false doctor. He's a widow baby, says Matthew Pounder. Marjorie is saying Dr. Crybaby. Paul Stentford is saying to us, it should be the audience crying, not Gatwa.
Oh, we are.
We are.
And Jane, it's me, Jane. RTD seems to be obsessed with having shooty cry. Terrified Monk wants to know, as a serious question, has he cried in every episode?
Yes.
I think he has, yeah.
He has, hasn't he, Miles? Yeah. He has.
Yeah, every single one.
Including his first one, I think. I'm not too sure. I can't remember because I'm not interested. How many times is Shooty going to cry in the Eurovision episode? Well, that one we'll ask near at the time, but we can actually give you the result now of our crying game from our Friday episode, because Paul, you said he was going to cry in this episode 5 times.
Yeah, can I just say something? In that photograph you showed, he's crying on that side, but on the actual episode he does it from both eyes, so that's kind of 2, isn't it, really?
No.
That's a stretch.
It's worth a try,
But Rhea said he wasn't going to cry at all. But whose views pencils go to Ian and Emilio and me, who we all said it was going to cry once, and that's what happened. He cried once in this particular episode. That leads us on very nicely to the crying game. Okay, so this is where the Whotastic panel tell me how many times they expect the Gatwa Doctor to cry in the next episode, which is next week, called Lux. So I'm going to start with Miles. How many times do you think he's going to cry in episode 2?
Twice. 2 times.
2 times. Third Doctor, Ian.
Oh, just for a laugh, let's say thrice.
That won't be a laughing. I'll be crying myself. Emilio, Hello Victorious, what about you?
I'm going to go once.
Go for once. Okay, he wants 2 pencils. And Paul, what are you going to say?
Well, Miles already said what I was going to say, because 2, like 1 out of each eye. Can I start 1 out of each eye? Does that count?
You can say 2 if you want to.
Can we do 2 as well? I'll do 2 as well. Okay,
you want 2 as well?
Just check.
I'm going to go with Ian, and I'm going to say 3 for the crying game for Lux, because I think it's going to get worse as we go on. Imagine when he realizes that the Earth is gone, everybody. A lot of you playing in the audience. We've got Lex saying 4. Rick Storm is saying 2. Matt the Silent Wee Music King is going for 3. Mark Greaves is going for 2. Paul Rose is going for 2. Legion of James is going for 2. I hope it's big cartoon tears that create a flood, says Terrified Monk. Philip is going for 2. Sean Cryer is going for who cares. Problem Being is saying twice. He's got to ramp it up. Will the animated Doctor cry? I vote yes, says Mudcrab. Yeah, that's all coming next week, isn't it? Marjorie is saying he's going to cry 3 times. Douglas Smith, hello to you, twice, but like normal, I won't be watching. Garbage is also saying, I would say 0 cries. 3 from Eddie.
That's optimistic.
Yeah. Kev Gresham, boo, who cares? But I'll say 2. Andy Gledhill, Models and Random Stuff, saying 1. Matthew Pounder is saying 45 minutes of crying from the audience. Push Laughter is saying 2. Killbot Kill is saying 2. Dylan Kildare is saying 2. Jason Parker is saying 3. Bill Larry is saying 2. Silver Wolf is saying to us, maybe you should also try and guess the total amount of screen time he's crying for as well. We haven't got enough time in the show. I'll tell you, we've got loads still to come. Peter Venkman, Fansite 2. Frankie is saying twice upon a cry. Tyler Durden Smile saying 1. Just Jordan twice, once in anger, 1 in sadness. So she's getting complicated now. I'll tell you. Richard Brooks is saying 1,589 times. Digby Strawberry is saying 3. 1 cry plus snot, says John Roberts. James Smith said, no, he'll be saving it for episode 3. He'll be a blubbering, cringing wreck in that. Theta Sigma 199, welcome to Who's Views. Good to see you too. BJF is saying 2 million times. I see what you did there. Silver Wolf is saying 5. John will say twice, but not watching. And Sheila B in the devotions, 2 and a runny nose. G35 is saying to us, I can't recall him even crying once in the classic era, not even when his companions died. He is a Time Lord. It weakens the character. Totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. But that's the crying game. Thank you for that. We'll be coming to that next week, of course, on the show. This morning, a lot of the reviews came out, everybody. It's all very interesting as well as to what they're saying, what the papers are saying, and yeah, I don't know what you're going to think about all this one as well. But I'm going to start with this one, if I may, and then we'll get your opinions on this panel, because this one is from the Independent. Doctor Who defies the naysayers, that's us, and returns in triumph. 4 out of 5 stars. Despite nagging recent questions about the Saturday evening sci-fi staple's future, this latest series finds Ncuti Gatwa and friends on inventive and freewheeling form. The article continues, is the TARDIS a ticking TV time bomb, just one bad news cycle away from an outright cancellation? Such are the rumours pinging around the cosmos and the ongoing speculation that the BBC is considering pulling the plug on Doctor Who unless the ratings improve, has understandably cast a shadow over the show as it returns for its latest season. Still, there is no need for embattled Whovians to get their sonic screwdrivers in a twist quite yet. Any suspicion that the venerable franchise is on its last legs is immediately exorcised by this fun and freewheeling series opener. The Robot Revolution is another impressive outing for the charming Ncuti Gatwa in his 15th Doctor, having settled into his stride as a mashup of Tennant's dashing eccentric and Whittaker's more grounded Time Lord.
Are you watching the same programme? Surely not.
He also brings his own touches by giving the Doctor a faint yet discernible anxiousness. Gatwa's Doctor wants, above all, to be liked. That's a huge problem in reality. Never mind in this. When, for instance, new companion Belinda objects to his good-natured bossiness, I am not one of your adventures, the sting of rejection knocks him back. It's great acting from Gatwa, whose Doctor is both charismatic and vulnerable. A whiff of déjà vu hangs over the action, which kicks off with yet another companion's origin tale as Setu inherits the baton from Millie Gibson's Ruby Sunday. Belinda is a hard-working London nurse who finds her already busy week interrupted by alien robots stomping through her front door. The anxious androids are looking for a messiah, and she fits the bill. The invaders are from a star system named after Belinda, which, according to their logic, means she is destined to be their queen. Off she must go to save them from certain doom. Precisely why a seemingly random nurse would be crowned regent of the robots is hinted at in the cold open, where we see Belinda's old boyfriend give her one of those gimmicky certificates confirming a star has been named after her. It turns out the robots are right about one thing. Belinda is both a down-to-earth NHS employee and an interstellar object. Back in the present, she is whisked off to their home world, which has the beautiful retro vibes of a mid-20th century science fiction paperback cover. The Doctor is here too, having disguised himself as a flunky of the machines, revealed to be a dastardly droid eager to marry Belinda off to a villainous AI who looks like a cross between Darth Vader and a Second World War gas mask. It's fun, pacey, Whovian daring do, even if the showrunner RTD ruins the mood slightly by killing off a rebel with whom the Doctor has become close. We've only just met her, so we don't feel the Doctor's grief. And in any way, the installment is such a hoot. Do we really need the extra angst? The story culminates in a twist involving the evil AI and an incel type from Belinda's past. The bombshell is expertly delivered, though you wonder if Davis isn't insulting half his audience by putting a negative slant on the cliche of the bedroom-bound geek obsessed with video games. They comprise a surely not insignificant segment of the Doctor fan base. Nerds everywhere could, moreover, be forgiven for feeling slightly fed up being told that simply because they're shy and spotty, it follows that they will be weird around women, a stereotype likewise given airtime in the latest series of Black Mirror. Still, aside from doing wrong by nerds across the universe, the Robot Revolution is a blast. The plot is easy to understand, a novelty following the convolutions of Chris Chibnall's years in charge of the show. RTD also lays the groundwork for an ongoing mystery around Belinda and her potentially extraplanar origins by confirming that she is the ancestor of the space troopy Mundy Flynn, whom we met in the 2024 installment Boom. Questions remain over the show's future and its relationship with Disney+. It turns out time-hopping British quirkiness doesn't necessarily travel well. But for now, what a huge comfort to know the Doctor is back, battling weird aliens and having frisky fun with the laws of time and space. Could a hardcore Whovian ask for anything else? Well, panel,
Yes.
tell me.
Yeah.
Go on then.
I'm just saying yes to the fact we want something else. We want Doctor Who. That's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's genuinely like upset me. That was the most rubbish. Do they believe their own press?
Yeah,
I mean,
obviously.
did we watch
Yeah.
the same thing last night? I'm so confused. What are they talking about?
It's almost like there's it's almost like the BBC are paying for the views,
Yeah, money
Okay.
changed hands, definitely. Yeah,
paying for the reviews rather. I think because nobody that knows Doctor Who that is a rational writer and critic would write that about what was put out yesterday. Nobody at all. It's just it has to be fake. It has to be. They must have paid for it.
Yeah. It's definitely a PR. It sounds like it's just a big kind of PR move, just to pretend or make out the episode. And I've seen it across other articles very similarly. They all it just seemed very forced to try and give a positive review on Doctor Who, as you say. Well, who's paying them basically? Otherwise, all to Marm's point, I would just think they've got a very, very low bar of what they think good Doctor Who is.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 stars.
Really, the only episode they watched would have really tell like the worst episode, probably all written by Chris Chibnall. And so, if you were to compare it to that, you might think this is actually good.
You go back to 1979, September the 1st, Saturday, September the 1st, 1979, and you see the season opener of a very, very cheap series when inflation was at something like 16%. You look at Destiny of the Daleks, episode 1, would have knocked this out of the park.
Yeah. I mean, it's right what you're saying there as well. I mean, we've had a lot of fellow fans, I'm going to say nicely, today, really wetting themselves over this, saying it was the best thing, or it's brilliant, insisting it. We looked at a couple of things on Friday where they're saying everybody must watch this and support this. On Live at 6, the show I do to warm you up before this one, we had a gentleman coming into the chat, very upset that I wasn't very happy with it. And again, put down the point, it's our fault that this thing isn't popular. It's our fault that this thing isn't work. We didn't write the bloody thing. If we did, it would be a lot better. But there's an awful lot of that going on today. And it's as though these reviews are following that same sort of thing. Oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Yeah. It's not fine, though, as you are proving in the chat as well. Marjorie is saying to us, has the writer for this article gone completely mad?
Clearly.
We've got Lex saying to us, sorry, The Independent, your score review of 4 out of 5 is wrong. I don't know what Doctor Who you were watching. It's a good point. A lot of you saying the same sort of thing here now. We've got here Paul Schlafter is saying to us, what a crap review. Did he watch the same program as us? I'm not too sure. Problem being is that yes, we can ask for actual Doctor Who back, please.
Yeah.
Moriarty is speaking of Black Mirror. Did anyone notice that Peter Capaldi played a games-obsessed incel looking to alter humanity to be better? Well, thank you, Moriarty. Nice to see you. Just Jordan is also saying yes, want a decent story. Eddie is saying yes, we want proper Doctor Who. Eddie, did RCD or the BBC pay them?
Allegedly. Yeah.
Well, allegedly, yeah. For that. Silver Wolf, they have to look like they're going to have half a chance of pulling the audience back, but they can't write a decent script, so that's never going to happen. Like they say, it's tomorrow's chip paper. Domgo is saying the reviewers should be flogged.
You won't get much.
And Matthew Pounder is saying the Independent is a left-leaning rag. Aris75, Doctor Who used to cater to an intelligent and open-minded audience. Now it caters to a shallow, biased child. A few of them, yeah, absolutely. How can she be an ancestor? That is not the character who ever gave up her career to become a mother. And is that reviewer being paid off by Bad Wolf? Woodhouse 122. Good reviews are bots, says Linny. Hello, Linny. How are you? What have we got here? Shill media, says Raymond Williams. That's a very popular term, isn't it? And problem being saying that's why we call it access media. They must be nice because they need the free cocktails and premieres. Well, not if there's not going to be any more shows in the future. I mean, you know, and I know for a fact that they look at shows like this and they'll misquote us because I've been misquoted several times myself over the last several years, and that's what I said nearly. You know, so I know they follow things on Facebook and on Twitter and shows like this. So although if you're watching to us from the UK press, get the facts right. Better still, come on and talk to us on the show. It'd be lovely to see you. Come and talk to us. If you're not on board, says Heretic OSJC, you don't get the previews. So it's a safe review to get their hands on it before the public. Yeah. And Paul Rose is saying to us, yes, we want something good. Who was massive in the States until they woked it away? What was this racist smoking? The Independent is not a serious newspaper, says Digby Strawbridge, at all. No. Mark Greaves is saying that it was utter garbage. That what was going on there. And Amaray is saying the reviews will not save it. It's already too late and the production has been mothballed.
Yeah.
Nobody pays attention to the mainstream media anyway nowadays.
No,
you know?
no.
That's why people flock to YouTube, because you want to hear people's actual real views and real opinion, not fabricated nonsense basically that they produce in all areas. You know, football. Everyone likes to go onto YouTube now or anything because they want to hear what actual real people actually think, and not something that's just.
Oh, you're right.
Got agenda behind it, basically.
Silver Wolf, guys, is saying to us, he didn't join us at the top of the show. How much was the audience ratings for this? Because it definitely is going below 2 million. So please let him know.
Yeah. Well, the thing is about this 2 million figure that we have so far, it's kind of interesting that everyone who's pro the show are trying to reposition it. Well, all the shows are doing really badly. EastEnders, Coronation Street only get 4 million. So blah, blah, blah. You know, so if this was any good, people would be watching it. It's not event TV anymore. It doesn't matter if they're watching it on the iPlayer. They're still not watching it enough to actually get bums on seats, you know?
Yeah. So, yes, Silver Wolf, it got 2 million overnight viewers. It's the lowest rated Doctor Who in its history. And we're going to be talking more about that in headlines in the week. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you've rung the bell, because Beth Weir, our ratings analyst, is very, very, very busy at the moment, getting it all ready for you, and updating his graphs and everything. David Shaw is saying the Doctor goes back in time, meets himself and stays in the past. His past self regenerates and it's the Master. Oh, I think we've come into a conversation there in the chat. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Can we hook up these reviewers up to a lie detector?
Oh, what a good idea.
Yeah, Dalek, I say the reviews
do not them up to something?
The audience figures. Hang on, Ian. The reviews do not seem to match the audience figures, oddly, says Dalek. They don't at all. Go on, Ian, what are you saying?
No, I was just saying, can we just hook them up to something? I don't know, like the mains or something. I don't know.
Well, we can't.
It'd be better viewing than yesterday, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Not with energy prices the way they are. We're not doing that, no.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah.
But if you liked that, you'll like what's coming up next, because that wasn't the only one that was out there at all, everybody, because we've also got this one. Now, this is from what used to be called the London Evening Standard. It's now just called The Standard. Doctor Who, The Robot Revolution on BBC One Review. A new dream team is born. Varad of Setu more than holds her own against Ncuti Gatwa's mercurial Time Lord in this fun space romp. It's a really big one, this one. Thanks to all the huffing and sighing about Doctor Who being woke, pretentious, or overly silly, it's often easy to lose sight of the fact that the show's basic aim is to entertain. It should be fun. And the robot revolution is fun, pleasingly silly in every sense of the word, and a high-energy opener to Ncuti Gatwa's sophomore season as the Doctor. Oh, yeah. It carries on to say this time around, though, he's minus one companion, Ruby Sunday, and in search of another. That would probably be Belinda. She's just a regular nurse, but the Doctor is turning up at her place of work and desperately trying to find her, to the point where he accidentally switches off all the energy in the hospital. This bit is glossed over, but I'm pretty sure that would do some catastrophic things to the building's life support systems, operating theatres, etc. We're just ignoring that. Okay. Anyway, sure enough, that day Belinda finds herself kidnapped, taken to her home planet. I'm going to miss all the bit where they go to tell about the stories, because we know the story. We got to the next bit there. The Doctor's not going to let this happen, so begins some timey-wimey shenanigans as the pair attempt to resolve civil war raging between machines and humans. It all feels rather Tennant-era Who in its premise, while also figuring out how Belinda has ended up as the leader of a remote alien planet. It also takes the time to skewer toxic masculinity, very of the moment. Yes, people die. Yes, Ncuti Gatwa takes a moment to shed a tear over their dead bodies, wasting no time. Could we please turn down the waterworks slightly this season, as it's starting to grate slightly? Fortunately, the chemistry between Gatwa and Setu is excellent. Belinda's biting, quippy personality is a nice foil for the Doctor's lightning rod exuberance and despair, and her unwillingness to be impressed by him is a nice touch that makes her different from most of his other travelling companions. However, it's not all good. As with many Who episodes, the show stumbles at the final hurdle. Having set up a compelling arc, it fails to stick the landing. Things implode in Act 3, thanks to a few all too convenient plot developments and Belinda's unearned heroism. To be honest, immediately deciding that you're happy to sacrifice yourself to stop a civil war on an alien planet does feel a tad too worthy to be giving us at the very start of a season. As for why she's genetically identical to Mundy Flynn, the soldier from the far future that the Doctor met in Boom, well, that's a mystery that's yet to be unravelled. Unfortunately for us, Belinda's not heading home anytime soon, what with the Earth seemingly having disintegrated and all. It looks like the pair are stuck with each other for the time being, though that's no bad thing. The sparks fairly fly off the screen when they're together, and this season should, hooray, be fun. Are you as optimistic as this person is?
No.
God, no.
No. I feel drained after that.
Yeah, the descriptions of Ncuti, like he's mercurial, he's got lightning rod exuberance. I mean, are they watching the same character? That doesn't fit a description at all.
No.
Mm-hmm.
He does a fake smile like this all the time. Forced. And that's literally all he does.
Well, what are they comparing it to? This is my point about some of the fans today. If they're comparing it to the last thing they had last year, I can understand why they were happy about it last night. But they're not comparing it to some of the stand-up. It's not the same show as even when Tennant was doing it. It's certainly not the same show as when Smith did it or Capaldi did it. It's got nothing in common. So what are they comparing it to? It's definitely nothing like the original series.
No.
You know, because it's not even the same character, for heaven's sake. I just don't understand where that whole point is coming from, really.
Do you think it's because we've not had any good Doctor Who for so long? I mean, it's pretty much a decade, basically, since we've had at least a good episode of Doctor Who. So it's almost like from their mindset, it's, as you say, they're comparing it to a pile of rubbish. So if you were comparing it to last season, we've all agreed it's an upgrade on Bath Babies, and if it was in season 1, it'd probably be one of the better episodes of that season. So you're gonna basically milk or try and find the positives and really milk it, and that's what that review sounds like it was trying to do.
Well, we're saying it's better than Space Babies. It's quite a low bar, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah. What gets me about this that I watched last night, though, is this wouldn't even have been in a 13-episode Superior series, i.e. season 4. It wouldn't have been allowed in.
Yeah.
No.
There's no way this would appear, Who viewers, in my opinion, in anything RTD did the first time around. Can you imagine this shoehorned into 3 or 4? Possibly 2, because we had that awful Absorbeloff thing.
Yeah. But like we said before, JT, you've got 8 episodes, 8 slots. Surely you can make them all banging episodes. You know what I mean?
Well, you would think so.
Yeah.
But again, he was just churning them out with this mindset. You know?
I genuinely don't think he cared. I think he just thought, I am going to put stories in which speak about how I see the world. I'm going to get it to express my hatreds and push my views. And because he is so delusional and nobody's pulling him up, he just thinks everybody will agree with me. Everybody will like what I write. And, you know, this is the proof. He's probably inwardly struggling quite a lot because he thinks he's the cleverest and most funniest, best writer on the face of the planet. Yeah. And now he's finding out that actually he's quite an embarrassment and he's nowhere near good enough. And he's got prime time slots. He's got a massive budget and nobody is watching because what he is producing is crap. And
that would explain why he looks like he's got a sweat on in the interviews recently with the Radio Times and at the premiere and stuff like that, wouldn't it, really? Because he does look, in my opinion, he looks nervous. He looks tired. I said this on Friday. He looks done. He's just like, oh my God. Because it mustn't be easy coming back for them. Oh, all these months after they finished the thing to promote it. You know, Amaray. Sorry, Emilio, hang on. Amaray is saying Standard has really gone downhill. It used to be a serious paper and good on reviews. I remember when the London Evening Standard was the paper to get back in the day on a Friday because you had pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of jobs and proper London news. I believe now it's like the Wokeometer, where it's a free sheet and it's thin. Correct me if I'm wrong. Josh H is also saying to me, that's sad for me. They're basing how they watch and regard things based on hate and dislike of others. That's crept in an awful lot to these reviews we're talking about, hasn't it, guys?
Yeah.
Go on, Amido.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say what you were saying, JT, about, how BBC Studios are obviously disappointed with how this has gone down. I just think ultimately to what Ian was saying, I think they clearly, the whole kind of mantra was, RTD come to, kind of come back, save Doctor Who from, the mess that Chibnall had left it in. So there's been way too much trust and too much faith in RTD. There's no, as you say, no script editor being able, or Disney even should have been able to read that objectively, his script for the first season and even this episode, and go, no, mate, that's not good enough. Go back, rewrite it, and then we will produce something. It's just too much hype around RTD and in of itself. Nobody willing to challenge him. I think that's ultimately what cost this the two seasons. I think they kept thinking he's going to just produce exactly. He'll be, lightning will strike twice. He'll produce exactly what he did in RTD1. That ultimately is not just obviously RTD's fault. There's also all of the people around him, the studio, the production. All of that they should have had their finger on the pulse and gone, no, we're going to be objective here. We will script edit RTD just like any other showrunner we would, rather than treat him as a special case and give him way too much power and too much faith.
We've got Amy Flowers joining us. Amy, welcome to Who's Views. It's lovely to see you. Belinda is like Donna, says the article. No, says Amy Flowers. Donna had compassion and heart. It's only been one episode, but Belinda lacks empathy and warmth. Do not compare her to my Donna. Fair enough. Thank you, Amy. Good to see you. And we've got John D retired. John D, again, welcome to Who's Views. Good to see you. Cancel it now. Strange you might say that, actually, John D. We were talking about that just on Friday, weren't we, guys?
Can I ask something? There's those who watched the Chibnall era, God bless you. Did he have a script editor on his show? I can't remember. Did he? Because everything he wrote felt like a first draft. So I wondered if he had his own script editor or just did what Russell did. Anyone know?
Yeah, I don't think I've never heard about a script editor. And even Chibnall admitted, I think was his finale for his first season. He said, I only did like a first draft of it.
Yeah, that was that awful final episode. That's the one.
Wrong. Yeah, exactly. So if he did, and he confirmed he handed in a first draft which made it to TV, that clearly showed that there wasn't a script editor then.
We've got Tony Farrell's TARDIS in the chat saying exactly, Emilio, no one has stood up to RTD. Well, we've covered that before on headlines. I think it was last year. Time is just all melding into now because it's the same sort of people. No one can stop me now is basically what RTD said. And no one would dare stop him. No one would question him. And it's obvious they haven't at all. Captain My Captain is saying the episode had the smell of She-Hulk, where the writers feel like they are being clever, poking fun at the viewers. The Doctor laughing, high kicking when someone died is just wrong. It's not the Doctor, though, is it? It is nothing like as I say, I couldn't see the Doctor last night at all, and that's what worries me and upsets me about this whole thing. You're watching Who's Views. This is our review show for the Robot Revolution. If you're new to us, occasionally on these shows, this is what happens. We get people coming in and phoning into the show. Here we go. Let's see who this is. Hello, Who's Views Reviews. How can I help you?
Hello, is this the Who's Views YouTube channel? I really don't like this channel. I can't believe that you're not supporting modern Doctor Who. Modern Doctor Who is so much better than the old Doctor Who. The old Doctor Who's too slow and it's full of white people and white men. Modern Doctor Who is much better. And guess what? The Fugitive Doctor, that's the first Doctor. And that line, that brilliant line when she first turns up, let me take it from the top. I'm the Doctor. Now that is drama, and you old gammon don't know what you're talking about. Hello?
Old gammon, how very dare you? Oz Soy Boy, everybody. Oz Soy Boy has phoned in. You might know who that is, but thank you anyway, Oz Soy Boy. Please don't bother phoning in again. I mean, how cheeky, everybody. It's outrageous. Isn't it? Absolutely outrageous. I can't believe it. I tell you what is also outrageous, everybody. It's the Wokeometer. And it's that time now where we're going to be bringing in the Wokeometer. For those of you new to the show, this is what we do on Who's Views Reviews when we are dealing with the new series of alleged Doctor Who. The Wokeometer was built by my Uncle Sydney a couple of years ago, 2023. It's over there in a bucket. And are you ready, Uncle Sydney? Whip it up. Put some Angel Delight in it. And what the Wokeometer does, it listens to the panel. It listens to all the comments you guys have got there, and it's watched the episodes. And what it does is, out of 10, it judges the episodes on the Wokeometer scale. So this morning, I force-fed it the Robot Revolution with some shredded wheat. And it's been listening to all of you guys. And let's see right now what it's going to do. Where do you think the Wokeometer will stop when it comes to the Robot Revolution? Uncle Sydney, for the first time this year, wind it up. Now. I don't have to see everybody. Next one, Sydney. Here we go. Number 4. Oh, it's stopping at 7, everybody. It's a 7 on the out of 10 on the Wokeometer. There we go. Did I give it enough shredded wheat? I'm not so sure. What do you make of that, guys?
That sounds fair.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Mm. I thought it was because, you know, basically there are some messages in this, as some of the Who viewers were saying as well, that were uncomfortable viewing for Doctor Who, and also what's supposed to be a British family drama. I still don't understand why RTD and people are inserting that agenda, those agendas. Why do they insist on this, guys? Please explain to me.
They think everybody thinks like they do, I think.
Yeah.
It's an obsession, really, isn't it? And they can't think of any new ideas to put them into, so we have to tarnish something that's been around for so long.
Yeah. Well, they know if they started something fresh from scratch, which would require imagination and talent and skill, so they're never going to do that. But if they did start something from scratch and they put all of this ideology into it, nobody would watch it. Like he's probably going to find with his camel toe or whatever it is that he's got coming up next year. What's the thing that he's writing for Channel? I knew there was a toe in it somewhere.
You were close, Ian.
Yeah, it's close enough. You know, that'll probably bomb, because most of his stuff recently hasn't it? It's not, like you said before, JT, he is not the writer that he was before. You know, he's had more, if you look back over the last 10, 15 years, he's had more fails than he's had hits. And that's just the way he is. But he doesn't have the skill to create something new and put all his stuff in it and have it popular. So he will take something that was already popular and destroy it. That's what they do.
Yeah. And I think he doesn't he just doesn't live in RTD doesn't live in reality. If he actually knew the facts, right, he's obviously here in this episode targeted white men, toxic masculinity, all of that stuff. But men or are the ones that are killing themselves the most, right? There's an epidemic of suicide with young men. Yeah, young men are not actually getting out there and actually meeting women anymore. Like the number of young men between 19 and 25 that just don't go on dates and and don't get out there is staggeringly high. Here's somebody who's making a point in his own Delulu land when the reality says something completely different. And ultimately, you're basically you're a British audience, a majority of them, not all, but a majority will be white, and a lot of people that like Doctor Who. Not saying that women don't, but I'm just saying a large majority will also be boys as well. So you're targeting a large chunk of your audience and just telling them that you guys are evil and horrible. It just you're not going to win anybody over, but the minority of activists that you clearly think are living, you all live in that reality bubble basically that he thinks he lives in, basically.
Well, they are. They're all part of this whole cult thing, aren't they? And they are so far left that they can't see clearly. But to be unprofessional enough to throw it all into scripts of a British legendary show, which was a family favourite for decades, I don't think I could ever forgive him for that. I really don't. I mean, there are lots of people that worked on this show in our day, of course, that had various opinions from far left to more or less far right, to communism, to socialist. But they left it at the door of the BBC when they came into work. And then they had very strong producers and script editors like Barry Letts and Terence Dix, Uncle Terry, of course, who said, no, this is Doctor. But they were all professional. There was a certain class to them in those days. And although some of the fans will come back to me now and say, oh, what about things like the Green Death and stuff like that? It was done in a science fiction way. It was done in a proper way. So it wasn't preachy at all, which is what this generation, or well, I say generation, 61, it's what this lot can't do. And they seem to have forgotten what Doctor Who is. Is that making any sense?
That makes perfect sense. I mean, the closest you'll get to a pastiche of the Green Death was in Jodie's era when they had the one with the spiders, because they were as a result of pumping toxic waste down into an old mine. Can't think where he got that idea from. But they did it. I mean, the spiders look fantastic. You could just imagine how Planet of the Spiders would have looked with that. But ultimately, they took that in a direction that introduced the Trump pastiche. The Trump character, who they just proceeded to mock. And that's the way they did that these days. They made it political. They mocked the president of the most powerful country on the face of the planet. Green Death, it had the leader of, there was a scene in the Green Death where the brigadier was put on the phone to the prime minister, and you saw the prime minister taking the call in the cabinet room, and it was respectful. It was just, and there was no reason to make it respectful in 1973 because the country was in a shithole. Governments were going out of fashion every other week. We had general elections.
It's the same now.
Month. Yeah. Well, yeah, but we had at one point in the 1970s, we had general elections, I think twice in a couple of months, because they had a majority of about one and got voted out again. And that was all because of the miners and everything else. The miners, the unions held sway. But it was still done respectfully. As a child watching the Green Death, I didn't get any of that. But a child watching, a friend of mine, his daughter was, I think when the Spiders one was on, was about 8. And all she could remember was Silly Fat Man, which was the American. The Spiders passed her by, Silly Fat Man, because that was what it was all about, because they can't do it with that skill and nuance. We would have never known what Mac Hulk's politics were from his Doctor Who writings.
Well, I didn't know until years later when I became a teenager and started reading the books that were available. I must have been 17 or 18.
Because he was a professional.
Correct.
And he left it at the door.
Yeah. We've got C3PO here joining us saying Doctor Who is no longer for everyone. It's just for RTD and his gender cult now. No wonder they call it Docky Who. And Jess is saying JT, because they can get away with it. Who is pulling the strings? They are, and we all know who's on the end of them. And Sheila B in the devotions, media folks live in their own little world. Well, that's very true, and we've come to realize that, haven't we? And Josh Haight saying to us, look, some of the messages were very lazily put into the episode, in my opinion, so hence it's no bigger than a 7 on the Wokeometer. That's right. Yeah, I mean, I mean, we've got loads more episodes coming,
But the trouble is, really, and we're kind of alluding to it anyway, is the fact the messages they put into it are so unsubtle, but that's for the benefit of the people who can't keep up with it. You don't need to signpost things to have a message in anything. As Ian said, you can do it as entertainment like the Green Death, and you can get different levels from it. But this is done in such a patronizing way. It's embarrassing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Paul, on that point,
Amelia, can I just go to the super chat? Who Janus, thank you for the super chat. The X-ray blanket couldn't identify the doctor's gender. I didn't even notice that, but I thought that was just a ridiculous gimmick. Really did. Okay, thank you, Hugh Janus. Okay, Emilio.
No, I was just going to say to Paul's point about the subtlety and it being on the nose, even in, again, RTD1, if we take World War III and the Aliens of London, that is basically a critique of the Labour government and the Iraq War, but it's wedded into the story. All right, it may be a little bit more on the nose than they did it on Classic Who, but it wasn't, hammer it in your face, this is what this is about. It was built into a sci-fi story, exactly what Ian was saying, and I think he clearly lost the touch to be a bit more subtle, or he just doesn't want to do that anymore. I think maybe that's more of it.
Yeah. We've got Bedway saying, brilliant point, Emilio. The biggest cause of death in young men is suicide. It's dangerous writing, but they won't understand that because there's all this thing now about young white men, especially, don't matter. In a previous job I've had before, I've had a representative of Scottish government telling me that they feel that white young people have had too many privileges over the year and it's time to concentrate on other things. Absolutely vile, disgusting, and racist. But when you call them out for it, my God, they don't like it because it's not, but it's true. And this is what's happening. And these people are bringing all this in. And we can see it here now in Doctor Who as well. And it's so sad, isn't it? Paul Schlefter is saying to us here, Doctor Who used to be about entertainment for all. Now it's only for a minority. And that's why it's coming off the air.
Yeah.
If it goes below 2 million in this series, that is not enough. And surely accountants especially should be coming in saying, what the hell is this about? Why are you producing this? Nobody wants it. Nobody watches it.
Yeah.
Surely common sense would come into it at some point. So there we go on that particular one. Talking about ratings, if you're new to the show, and there are lots of you in the chat that are new to the show and new to the channel, welcome. As part of what we do on the Who's Views Reviews for the new series of Doctor Who is we do our ratings game, and we're going to be doing that now. This is very simple. All what I do is I ask the panel what they expect the rating to be for the next episode of Doctor Who. So, is Lux going to be higher and lower than 2 million? Let's run the titles and find out. All right then, guys. So as usual, this is the bit. As I say, we're going to be doing this right now. So the ratings game, everybody. Try and get a bit serious. Doctor Who The Robot Revolution, as we say, got 2 million overnights. We only do the overnights on the ratings game because we're only interested in bums on seats for the premiere episodes. So with that in mind, higher or lower, Miles for episode 2, Lux.
Lower.
And your rating?
1.8.
Ooh. Miles is going lower with 1.8. Third Doctor Ian, higher or lower, and what's your rating?
Lower. I can't even remember what this blasted episode's going to be about.
It's the one in the cinema.
All right, of course it is. Right, okay. I was going to say something like 1.85, but I vastly overestimated yesterday's. So I'm going to lurch in the opposite direction. I'm going to say 1.6.
Wow.
1.6. That's interesting. You're all playing this in the chat already. Thank you very much. We could be here for hours with all your scores. So that's very, gosh, look at them all. Everybody's in there. Gosh, we've got so many. So many. So what did you say, 1.6, Ian?
Yes.
Paul, higher or lower, and your score?
You're not going to catch me again. I would say lower than 2 million, but higher than my previous vote last episode. So I'm going to say 1.9.
Now, I forgot to say as part of this that next week's Doctor Who we will be on at the later time of 7:15. Do you think in the chat that's going to affect the rating? Personally, I don't.
Yeah.
So 1.9 for Paul.
Yeah.
Emilio, higher or lower?
Lower, and it's Easter weekend, so I'm sure
Yes.
people will be, either going away and stuff. So and they're definitely not going to want to sit down their kids and watch Doctor Who. So I'm going to go in between Miles and Ian and say 1.7.
Okay.
Emilio is going lower.
I said that last week.
Okay. I've been saying since the start, or since the end of last series, that this thing was going to drop below 2 million, and I still think it will. And I think the point that it's going out 7:15, Emilio's reminded us that next weekend is Easter weekend. I think that's the point it's going to do it. And I'm going to go the same as Paul for 1.9.
What happens if it's a draw?
We break the pencil in two.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, what can happen is the panel can get a Who's Views pencil if they get it right, everybody. Yes.
Or half each. Yeah.
Let's look in the chat. Lots of you in the chat. Thank you for this. Terrified Monk is saying 1.8. Kev Gresham is saying 1.8. David Shaw is saying it's going to be higher. Silver Wolf is saying higher or lower. Philip is saying 1.8. Dark Hull 1.4. Third Dr. Andrew is with us saying it's going to be even lower. Garbage is saying lower, 100%. No way will more people be tuning in next week, and it's Easter too. Sheila B 1.75. Just Jordan 1.9. Silver Wolf definitely lower. John Roberts is going lower as well with 1.95. Rick Storm 1.9. David B says it'll be much the same. Let's have a look. It's got to be 1.5, says Domgo. Oh, I can't believe that we've got to this. Can you, everybody? This is Doctor Who we're talking about. This is Lita Pertwee 1.1. The Forbidden Man 1.3. John is saying 1.7. Matt is saying 1.85. Bill Lowry 1.6. Tyler Durden Smile 1.9. Heretic, I think it'll be 2.1 or 2.2. I think it'll go up slightly before going down. Okay, interesting. Let's see if that works. Easter Saturday, if it's nice weather, the British public is out. They'll be in Blackpool. Lex Kane 1.2. Bundy is saying lower due to Britain's Got Talent. Moriarty is saying this is a silly game. Rate what has been not been put out gets diet. It's a game. Lighten up.
Gosh.
We've got Georgia Donald lower. 1.5. See, you got me in the mood. Jess, 1.5 if they're lucky. It's just a game. Lighten up. We're having fun, for heaven's sake. Paul Stenterford, my prediction is 1.6. Murray, Mike Disney is saying 1.56. Somebody else unsubscribed. Don't care with something silly like that. New Who hater, 1.4. Paul Schleifter is saying, I don't think it will be lower. I think it will stay at 2 million. Bedouir, if it stays at 2 million, that's going to be interesting to look at, isn't it? Superlev 1.8, Garbage 1.6, PTA 1.7, Digital Pollution, I will go for 2 million. 1.85 from A Problem Being, 1.5 from That Random Bloke. Surely lower, 1.7 if lucky, says Dalek Eye, with Dalek's Lives Matter saying 1.87. 1.95 from Woodhouse 122, and Raymond saying 1.7. BJF is getting in with 1.88, and Stephen Braddock with 1.8. Digby Strawbridge 2.3. Dead Cat Bounce, Rubberneckers and Bad Weather. 1.8 at most, says Armour Ray. And hello, good evening, Marcus Barry. Say hello to you. 1.6. Mark Milford 1.84. Paul Rose 1.8. 17.4 million. Douglas Smith.
That's optimistic.
Well,
He's
saying,
thinking
oh,
of Destiny of the
1.8.
Daleks, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah.
He's saying it's only joking. 1.8. Marjorie is saying 1.8. Silver Wolf is saying 1.4. Paul Richards, nice to see you. 1.9. 1.8 from Farsight. Cloud SSJ4 is saying to us, if I wanted to watch something purely informative, I'd rather watch a documentary on a specific subject, not a program pretending to be a sci-fi show. Good point. And Peter Venkman fans that I could hardly believe I was wrong with that estimate, especially after the news that they did both seasons practically side by side. That's why they got it wrong.
Yeah.
Shelley Ingle is saying 1.96. Lower, says Julianne, with 1.8. 1.1 million, says wrestling reviewer Daniel. Hello, Daniel. Oh, look what Matthew Pounds is saying here.
Ooh.
0.8 for the podcast.
How dare you, Matthew?
Wow. 1.65 from Third Doctor Andrew. Julia Cheverton, hiya Julia, 1.7. Jason Parker, 1.6. And Richard Brooks is saying, I think the ratings will be 1.89. It might depend on the weather, says David B. It absolutely will. I have to explain to people outside the UK, especially in the USA, and I've seen reviewers out there that don't believe this. If the weather is good here at the weekends, we don't watch the telly. As in Britain, we do go out if we can.
Yeah.
The simple reason, we don't see the sun that much in this country. So the television gets forgotten and we all go to the beach and play with sandcastles and look at donkeys. Hiya, says David Shaw. Oh, staying the same with 2 million. Okay, 2 point. Peter Venkman staying with 1.5. Thank you, lovely. Killbot, Kill 1.7. Tim Kintz. I'm going to incrementally take mine down from 1.89 to 1.7. And Mordrin Brown Bread. Good to see you. Welcome. Nice to see you. Mordrin Brown Bread 2.1. Dylan Kildare is saying 1.7. And Josh H is saying 2 million. Slightly worse weather next week, and I think some will be interested in the cartoon concept, but balanced out by some who watched yesterday not bothering. Oh, that's a good way of putting it, I think. Gilliam is saying lower, but only a little, 1.98 mainly. I think the kids might tune in for the cartoons. It's not a nice cartoon though. Let's hope it gives them a little bit of a scare. 66 million touching grass, says Armour Ray. Steve Henley saying sub 2 million would suit me fine, and Darren Apken is going for 1.9. Thank you very much for all of these. We're definitely going to crack the million by series final death throw, says Mike Disney, and Legion of James is coming in saying actually because it's got the cartoon MacGuffin, it could possibly stick close to 2 million, so at lowest 1.9.
Wouldn't it be interesting if all the episodes of this season are the lowest ratings ever? Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah, it would.
It's such a shame though, as Doctor Who fans, that we're saying this.
Yeah.
This is such
completely.
a shame. This is not where we want Doctor Who to be. Are you listening out there, people? We're not, all of us on Who's Views, including our lovely Who viewers, we don't want this to happen to Doctor Who. We want Doctor Who back. We don't want to be sitting here having this sort of game and this laugh, basically. We don't want
lessons
that.
have to be learnt from this, though, don't they? That's the thing.
Really. 47 people on an angry cat, says Stuart Barham. And say Rosie Mead is coming in with 1.95. Ron Sapp is saying it's going to be lower because people will watch the first one. Lux was a bar of soap, as I recall. You're absolutely right. So a soapy 1.8, says Craig Dunlop. Yeah, it was a luxury soap. And Rose Kirby, for episode 2, I'll give it a score of 2.35. Britain's Got Talent starts at 7:10, so it will be lower, says Woodhouse. And I forgot Easter. 1 million if they're lucky then, says Jess. 1.9, says SG. And Jane Smee, 1.9. Wow. Just Jordan is saying to us the Sound of Music might be on, so that'll pull me away. And John Cartwright says, I was right with 2 million this time, so 1.8 million. Wow. Goodness me. A lot of you in the chat tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. 1.7 from Cody W1. Wow. Hugh Janus, 1.9, a gradual decline. Gosh. 1.8 from Eddie. Thank you so much, everybody, for these. I'm going to have to go through all these when we're off air as well over the week. What was that? I saw 1.2 there. Who was that from? Oh, why won't it let me scroll up? John, 1.85 million. And High Desert 004, 1.2. Don't forget, you can join us this week on Headlines here on the channel, where we actually go through these ratings with Bedouia. 1.9 from John Mason. Any more for any more? Bill Larry is saying, yes, we are Doctor Who fans. That's why we're not supporting this rubbish. It's not Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Woodhouse 122. I would never have thought a decade ago it would get ratings this poor. None of us ever did.
No.
And hello to Darren Bradley. 15 years ago, 7 million viewers, fourth most watched show of the day. 10 years ago, 5 million viewers, fourth watched show of the day. 5 years ago, 4 million viewers, fourth watched show of the day. Yeah.
And you put it back in Sylvester's era and put it on against Coronation Street that was pulling in 18 million viewers, and he got 5.5 or 6 million viewers.
Yeah.
Without catch up or anything else, and that was holding its own.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Well,
it's true. And George is coming in here. 2.1. I think the cartoon looked interesting. Well, we'll soon find out, won't we, George? And Mrs. Lisa Pertwee is saying, do Brits still watch the telly at Easter? Not if the weather's good. Not if the weather. There's many problems in our country now with the Easter festival as well. Anyway,
it's not been cancelled.
Well, yeah, and the BBC doesn't seem to like it at all these days.
No.
And 0.4 million, says John Keeley. Thank you, everybody, for that, for the ratings game. I'm going to call it a day with there. But if you are watching us on playback, I haven't read it out, put it in the comments box. We'll come to you back next week. Let's see what happens with the ratings game. Whoa. That was big, wasn't it? A lot of people there for the ratings game. We haven't even got to scores on the TARDIS doors yet. That is the next thing that's coming up for you. What a show, though. I mean, have you guys got anything you want to do to sum up what you saw last night? Anything you wanted to say that you haven't said yet before we get to scores on the TARDIS doors?
I didn't really touch on it in terms of the companion much. I wasn't taken by her very much. I just thought she was just really obnoxious. And I'm hoping they're going to do a Donna and water her down a bit. She'll become a bit more mellow. That might work. But initially seeing her, I found her really unpleasant, I have to say.
I think we're going to be talking a lot more about Belinda over the next few weeks anyway, because she's in all 8 episodes, isn't she?
Yeah.
So let's talk about her more next week. Let's see where we start from and where we get to. Let's have a look at all that.
Because even before she was kidnapped, JT, she was even the bit in the flat and the bit in the hospital. She was just really obnoxious. You know what I mean? So
yeah, she was actually, and I wondered what they were trying to make her out to be, because I know she says she's a nurse, but you see the intro scenes, and one of those is she's guiding some people, paramedics and everything, carrying somebody in on a trolley and telling them what to give them and everything. I was like, no, that's not what a nurse would do. A nurse would be listening to the instructions. A nurse wouldn't be giving them instructions. Not like that. And it's just they're trying to make her everything. It's the usual. A female character, therefore feisty, and all the other bollocks terms they throw out for them. You just change the name, and it's the same description, isn't it? It's the same way that they used to describe Ruby and Bill and all of them. It's unoriginal, unimaginative.
Yeah. Sharda Knox has come to us saying 1.85 million for the ratings game. Thank you, Sharda Knox, and thank you for your comments this week on the show as well. Right, been a busy show, everybody. We've got scores on the TARDIS doors coming in a second. Just be with me 2 seconds before you put them in the chat, because we do have to decide where are we heading to next time on Whose Views Reviews. It's Miami in the 1950s, apparently, for looks. Join us for looks next Sunday. Our review live at 8 o'clock. Another big review show for you. Whoa. And it's got Alan Cumming as the voice of that Mr. Nicky Nacky Noo, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, on that one. So anyway, right, it's now time, everybody, for scores on the TARDIS doors. Start putting in your scores into the chat, please, while I run the VT titles. Right, we're going to start then with Emilio. Emilio, can we have your score on the TARDIS doors?
I'm going to give it a... It'll be reasonable. I'll give it a 4 out of 10. That for me, 4 out of 10 is below average. I think the visuals are very good, so that gets me good. That gets a plus. I do think it's an upgrade on Babies in terms of the plot, in terms of the story, I think the kind of set design, the robot looked actually pretty good. The voice of the robots, I know Nicholas Briggs was good as well. So and I think it's let down by all of the things we said: poor script, Shooty crying, the Doctor's not on screen, just messy messaging, on the nose, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, just bring the whole episode down for me. But by the standards of the recent era, not the worst episode. So I think I might be being a little bit generous with 4, but I think that would probably be a fair score.
Okay, then Miles, what are you going to give the Robot Revolution out of 10?
I'm going to give it a bit lower. I'm going to give it a 3. Simply just for the visuals. Everything else, it was just boring for me. It was maybe the first 10, 15 minutes was, a little bit exciting, but the rest, I just found myself bored. I just kept sort of looking down, looking away. I wasn't really interested. Like I say, I can't take the Shooty still. I just can't do it. He is just not the Doctor. I'm just sorry, but he's just not. And as for Belinda, like we all said, she's just grating. And I think she's just progressively just going to get actually worse throughout this season. And I just don't think it's going to be nice to particularly watch, to be honest. So, yeah, for me, it's a 3.
It's going to be last year all over again, basically, you're saying. So 3 out of 10. Thank you for that. Third Doctor Ian, what are you going to give this out of 10?
Well, I made some notes on the positives. Visuals.
Yep.
I can't. I know. I tend to score them harshly, but that's because they're crap, and I can't score something highly that was overtly expressing its hatred towards me, my demographic. And if it wants to express hate to me, I will not support it. I'll give it half for the visuals, and I will leave it there. It was hate-filled and gloriously inappropriate, and not in a good way.
That's better than what Space Babies got, because last year, for those of you who are new to the channel, our reviews from the series last year got us our first ever 0 scores on scores on the TARDIS doors. That had never happened before. It's probably going to happen again this year. Let's have a look. Paul, what are you going to give it scores on the TARDIS doors out of 10?
Well, I agree with a lot of things have been said already. I do think it's better than Space Babies. It's definitely better than the Christmas one, that's for sure. And it's like usual. A lot of Russell's opening episodes are a bit crap. Like New Earth. Don't get started on that. But I think it had potential to be a good episode. But if you took all the message crap out of it, it would have been better. The visuals were great. I liked a lot of the humor in it. Can't stand Belinda. That's a bad start. So I'm going to give it, like Miles, give it a 3.
3 out of 10. Thank you, guys. That's brilliant. We're coming to you in the chat in just a second. There's a lot of you there with your scores on the TARDIS doors. Thank you very much. From my point of view, I agree with everything the Whotastic panel have said tonight. The best thing for this story for me were the visuals. Congratulations to everybody working on this show. I think the effects, the look of the thing looked very nice. However, something about it was Disneyfied. It didn't look like Doctor Who. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the gradient of the film they're using or how it was. Even though it looked nice and glossy, it didn't look like Doctor Who to me. Maybe there's too much gloss. Maybe there's too much polish. But one thing that certainly did need more polish was the script. I'm giving it a 2. And that was purely for the visuals. So a 2 out of 10. Let's get into the chat, guys, and see what they're saying. Just Jordan is saying 2 out of 10. Moriarty is saying 6 out of 10. Could be better, but it could have been Space Baby. That's the one everybody's going to really rate it to, compare it to, isn't it? What else we got here? Paul Rose is saying, JT, I haven't had time to watch it yet. Please don't bother, Paul. Just don't
Lucky
bother.
you.
Good. Yeah, I wouldn't say bother with that. Sharda Knox is saying, so glad you guys are here to watch this drivel so that I don't have to. No idea what a Yas Queen is. This Dalek Lives Matter, but it's something to do with that old Crohn's drag race, I can tell you. Lex Kane is saying, my nephew Luke is over for Liverpool for Easter. We both agree we want the 48 minutes back. Watching this Yawn Fest 0%. 0 out of 10. Luke is 12 and likes Classic Who and is watching Doctor Who Inferno. So I'll have Luke with your Uncle Lex over there in Liverpool. They're one of the best cities in the universe. Hope you're having a lovely time and well done and congratulations for watching Inferno. You're going to love it.
Yeah, I hope he's enjoying it. I'm sure he is.
Yeah, let us know. Lex, get him to send me an email. New Who hater, 0 out of 10. Here we go, everybody. Wrestling reviewer Daniel, 0 out of 10. Legion of James, 0 out of 10. But I didn't watch it. Don't need to. It's not Doctor Who. Tyler Durden Smile, 3 out of 10. Digital Pollution, 1 out of 10. 3 out of 10 from Killbot Kill. 4 for the effects, 2 for the story, says John Roberts. So that's 6. Thank you for that. St. Rosie Mead says, I haven't watched it, so I can't score it. Millions didn't watch it. Hello to Timesaver93. Welcome to Who's Views. Curious, but what were the first impressions of Tegan were? Because I ended up liking Tegan. My first impression of Tegan was, what's this? Because she was so different to Romana.
Yeah.
I ended up tolerating Tegan. I don't like loud mouths on the TARDIS, I'm afraid. I don't think it works where they've got somebody bickering with him all the time.
Yeah.
And that went on from my point of view for ages because we had Tegan, then we had Perry.
We had Tegan for the 3 seasons, remember? That was hard. Yeah.
And Perry for 2. So
yeah.
5 years of a bickering companion.
Yeah.
Bill Lowry, based on the realistic reviews, 4 out of 10. Mike Disney, it would be unfair of me to score something I've not watched, but 0 out of 10. Dylan Kildare, 0 out of 10. Matthew Pounder, -10. Oh, PTA is saying 4.7. 1 out of 10 from Philip. Sharda Knox is saying it's not Doctor Who. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 also from Rick Storm. 1 out of 10 said Paul Richards, and that's for the cat. May it rest in peace. Woodhouse 122, a generous 3 out of 10. Marjorie Dodoyne is saying to us 2 out of 10. 1 for the cartoon. That's next week. Where were you for yesterday?
It was in the trailer, at least that bit. So.
Oh, right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dom Go, there is no other option than a 0. 4 out of 10 from Jane Smee. Gosh. Tim Kintz, 1 out of 10. Or an I for Incel out of 10. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee, 0. If it was possible, I would go lower, much lower. David Shaw is giving it 5 out of 10. It was an average episode. Thank you, David. Welcome to Who's Views. 3 out of 10 says Eddie. BJF is saying 2 out of 10 for the visuals, -10 for terrible writing, woke nonsense, Yas Queen. Oh, yeah. Okay. All the rest of it there. Space Babies wasn't vindictive, says Mudcrab. And 8 out of 10 says Robin Calvert. Gatwa needs to be less cool, more Doctor. He hasn't got the opportunity. He has gone. Mark Milford, 1 out of 10. Robot Revolution, more like reboot devolution. I hate that word devolution. It's too near the knuckle up here, I tell you. Third Dr. Andrew, 3 out of 10. I totally hated this rubbish. Wow. Guys, here's another one from Problem Being. 0 is too big a number for this evil trash. Dalek Eye, from what I heard, 3 out of 10 for the production only. 4 out of 10, so Paul Schlefter. Found it a bit meh and uninteresting, the same as me.
Yeah.
The same as me. The Forbidden Man, this has been a great show. For the rubbish, 0. Thank you very much, The Forbidden Man. David B is saying he agrees with Emilio. Jess is saying, I think it's going to be another rush of gobbledygook for next week, very probably. Julia's with us as a Doctor Who episode 0, as a TV program 3 for the look of it. That does not make up for the awful script. Richard Brooks is saying Tegan was feisty. These modern companions are just obnoxious. Tegan lost her aunt and was rushed off on an adventure far beyond her experience, and Tegan eventually evolved and chose to return and travel. She had longer, though, than 8 episodes as well, let's face it. She had 3 whole series, and by series 2, she's loving it, isn't she, really, by the 20th anniversary one. John Mason said, didn't watch it, never will, so it's a 0 for me. What a damn shame it is. The Nate channel, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. Thank you, Nate. Any more for any more? I'm sure there's. Oh, yes. Farsight is saying season 25 and 26 will pull in far more viewers now.
Yeah,
Julianne is also saying, I didn't watch it, but still giving it 0 because of the cats. Douglas Smith, I haven't seen it, but 9 out of 10 for this Who's Views. Oh, only 9. Oh, okay. Thanks very much. Raymond Williams is saying, I didn't watch it, but I will still give it 0 for Ncuti's terrible performances. He has never understood the character he's meant to be playing. I think Russell's got a lot to do with that as well, because of the writing and also not shaping him, you know?
Well, he's only got 7 hours left, if he's lucky, to win us over. If he does regenerate at the end of the season, we'll all be cheering. So.
Stay with us to see what happens at the end of the season. Marjorie, 2 out of 10 for the visuals. Belinda and Ncuti are both annoying. John Cartwright is saying 0, nothing. It was nasty, puerile, offensive, infantile rubbish. Dalek Lives Matter, 3 out of 10. It was mildly interesting. I'm glad you got something out of that one, because I didn't even get that. Sheila being the devotions because of the poor puss cat and all the hospital patients, 1 out of 10. Farsight, 0 points for last night. What have we got here? Gilliam, can't score. Never watched it apart from the last 2 minutes, but it sounds pretty bad. Kev Gresham, due to them hating my masculinity, 3 out of 10. Jason Parker, lots of 0s out of 10. It's not Doctor Who. The anti-white male messaging was gross. The companion is awful. The fake doctor is just not the doctor. It was hate-infested propaganda. Stephen Braddock is saying, only saw the first 5 minutes, and based on Who's Views, I won't ever be watching any more of it. 0 out of 10 for the hate-fueled messaging. G35, 4 out of 10. A better Ncuti episode after the likes of Space Babies, Devil's Board, Roge, and The Empire of Death, but it's still a flop.
Yeah.
Is it going to get worse? Bob Sherwood, nice to see you. Bring back the cat to replace Gatwa. Everybody lives. I like what you did there, Bob. Thank you. Hugh Janus, 0 out of 10 for casual hospital carnage. Remember all that, actually, everybody, for shows in the future. John Keeley, 2 out of 10. Heretic. It could have been a 6 out of 10 if it wasn't for the messaging, but I'd say 4 out of 10. So it's not even an average one. Captain, my captain. It looked and sounded good, but story not so good. Last Jedi style. It's 2 out of 10.
It's not as good as that, surely.
Dalek Lives Matter. The CGI screen is flat looking. Built sets look okay. They're better. And George, 4 out of 10 in this new era of crap. Darren Adkem, I didn't see it, but I'll be generous and give it a 1 out of 10. Oh, bless. Thank you for that. I'm sure they'll appreciate it. And the Nate channel, 2 out of 10. What else? Is any more for any more? 3 out of 10 from Josh H. Pros, visuals, Doctor doing a little more. I like the polished robot. Some sort of plot there. Cons, incel stuff. What happened to Alan? Laughing at Alan's demise. Yeah. It was in that sense, it was a fairly balanced episode because there was pros and cons which you can balance up. Bundy 40773. I just didn't like Belinda. Let's see if that changes over the next few weeks. And the Peter Venkman fan site said 0 out of 10. I've totally checked out for a while now. Shelley, hello Shelley Ingle. Thank goodness that I didn't watch it. Honestly, if you didn't watch this, Who Views, you didn't miss anything. Honestly, Amaray is saying 2, but scoring it is a 0 as it's not Doctor Who.
They should have just kept Ruby, in this season.
I want to know what the real story is there. Yeah. Why didn't he? Why? I get a feeling Who Views there's a story there. 3 out of 10 from our John. Thank you, our John. Any more for any more, everybody? Yes, Frankie. 0 out of 10. Cokelud, 4 out of 10. No original content. That's a fair comment. Yeah. Very fair comment. Mrs. Lisa Pertwee saying, I agree, 10 out of 10 for Who's Views. Thank you so much. Choral Sci-Fi and Fantasy, 10 out of 10 for Terror of the Autons, but 0 out of 10 for Dr. Woke, which I didn't watch, like millions more. You had me going there for a minute. I thought we had a 10 there. John Keeley is saying 2 out of 10. Stephen is saying 10 for the cat. And 0 out of 10 to Farsight. Stuart Barham, 0 out of 10. Doggy doo-doos. and cat doings. Digby Strawbridge is giving it a -2. Cat Lives Matter, says Sharda Knox. No, they don't on Doctor Who anymore because they're all hypocritical. Any more on that? I'm going to call it on Scores for the TARDIS store. So thank you so much, everybody, for that. Thank you so much. Wow, that has been the first of our reviews, everybody, of DisneyWho, RTD2, Shooty Gatwa Who, Doctor Who Series 2, whatever you want to call it. I call it nonsense, absolute rubbish. But there we go. 1 down, 7 to go. Every week here on Sundays, live at 8 o'clock on Who's Views. Please make sure you have subscribed. If you have already subscribed, please make sure you are still subscribed. And don't forget to give us a like. And please come and join us every week. It's so nice to know that you're going to be there. We've had a huge audience tonight. Please come back and see us next week as well and take part in everything we've got. To Paul, to Emilio, to Third Doctor Ian, to Miles, thank you so much. Hopefully I'll be seeing you again next week and this episode hasn't put you off.
Well, maybe.
Thank you too. Great fun. Great fun. Been looking forward to these.
Yeah, we have been looking forward to these. We just haven't been looking forward to the actual series.
Yes.
Oh, thank you everybody for all your messages this evening. Absolutely fantastic. Don't forget, our next scheduled shows are this week. Headlines. We're going to be looking at the ratings with Bedouia, and of course, we're going to be looking at any of the stories that arrived this week. I think this is going to be a very busy time for all of us as Doctor Who fans. From all of us on the show tonight, thanks for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for your support. We will see you all very, very soon. Until we do, look after yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.